Welcome one and all to yet another day of the Amateur Arena brought to you by AOE Esports. My name is DJ, joined by Nova and ThinkCard on the analyst desk today to bring you will be the first game of our final week of Amateur Arena as some of the off-season events do take place, such as Scouting Grounds coming up. But we don't have a lot of time, gentlemen. We are already into drafts, so let's take a look at these first couple of bans that are running through.
Yeah, I mean, everything's pretty standard so far. You're banning away the Lucian, you're banning away the Yuumi. You don't want the Lucian Nami, and obviously Yuumi as a first pick has been pretty atrocious when teams have been picking it, so nothing out of the ordinary. I would say maybe the Morgana is pretty strange. I know that Blueskies and DuoKing have both been picking the Caitlyn Morgana pretty often. I haven't seen them ever do like Caitlyn Lux or something, so I don't know if Caitlyn has ever been the problem, but the Morgana, I guess, particularly with this ball lane, it's not too surprising.
And speaking of
they also banned away Lux.
Yeah.
So I mean, Yuumi ban on red side is just standard, and then banning Lucian on blue side. Maybe I don't know how the meta has been evolving, but if it's anywhere close to Worlds, like maybe they just prioritize just Aphelios or MF on one pick. Lee Sin's obviously been nerfed many times, and also getting rid of the Lux does make Azir slightly stronger too, because Strompest like playing Lux into the Azir.
For sure. I would say with the Lucian being banned, they're probably looking at other first picks than the Lucian, right? You're probably looking at maybe the Camille or obviously the Graves, which has just been dominating in like every draft that he gets first picked. So yeah, that would definitely be it. I know that teams also sometimes will give up the Lucian, especially the Lucian Nami, if they're able to play like a Draven lane. But maybe Sketchdreams just wasn't too comfortable playing the Draven. That could be a particular reason. But it looks like red side is leaving up Graves. I do not know if Winston's going to be taking this to flex with Dhokla. There it is, yeah.
Yeah, has it mostly been going to solo lane? I would assume solo lane's been outperforming jungle, but jungle Graves right now is one of the best performing jungles, like even in solo queue.
100%, absolutely. In terms of an answer, we do have Misfortune Leona still up, which is a really strong pairing. They can also just take the Misfortune and maybe take a jungle answer. Some teams have been experimenting with like a Volibear jungle answer or just flexing directly into the Graves. Not sure on the success on that, but I think mainly just the Misfortune. The Camille is also a really good pick.
All right, so just showing Camille top side. We'll see what Dhokla's response into this is. I know Srtty is very comfortable on this pick, one of his main champions, so probably nothing too out of the ordinary for Dhokla. I'm sure he's ready to play something in it, whether it's just taking the Graves or just having a counter pick prepared. Now it just seems like you're kind of forced to either just take jungle or take your AD answer.
Yeah,
or AD
absolutely.
blind.
Oh, they're playing side lanes. All right. Yeah, I do like this as well. So blue side definitely has some options, right? You can either go directly for a TF answer. I know teams really like the Sylas answer. I know that there's been some answers about like Victor, just like outscaling the matchup. But you know, Sylas is definitely probably an option here. Misfortune, obviously you can take a support as well if you want to take away maybe like a Thresh or a Leona. So it'll be interesting to see what blue side decides to do, directly answering the Camille. So Graves is just going jungle.
With this Fiora hover, I would, if they lock this in, or I think they did lock it in. I'm just assuming they're going to match TF roams. Like you have to just pick like Ryze or Sylas at this point, and make sure that you can actually make sure Fiora can scale. So I really want them to pick their mid laner here. I'm hoping it's someone who can just outpush TF and just maintain either matching it with the Sylas or just maintain push so that the Fiora can just scale. APA special.
Yeah, that 80 mid flex. I'm liking that. Sivir, Vayne, so ADC hovers. I wouldn't be too surprised if ADC is the answer here. It just means that you have jungle answers in a Graves, which obviously there's fewer options, but you can definitely pick a lot of things into the Graves and still be comfortable with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this Vayne flex, if it is actually Ziggs mid. Okay, yeah, you cannot pick Vayne there.
Yeah, no, that would not go over well for you.
All right, so Caitlyn locked in, Lux is gone, Morgana's gone. I'm assuming that blue side is just going to go for one of those CC ADCs into Caitlyn, Ashe, Varus, Jhin. And then red side, they just have to be thinking about the support matchup. You pretty much know where everything's going. Jungle's untouched. We can see if they try to set up like a 4-pick jungle too and just 5-pick support.
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning more on the side of support being 5-pick for sure. I think jungle answer is just going to go directly on 4. You see Kindred being banned. I know Kha'Zix is also something that Srtty loves to play. Not sure if he'll play it directly into the Graves. We've also seen him play like a Zed. I know that particularly in the matches that I've seen him play, he just has played Zed every time it's available into the jungle, and he's just dominating on that champion. So definitely something we could see from him. But yeah, I'm definitely expecting this jungle on 4.
Yeah, just looking at left side, like you already know they need something to pair with this Ziggs. Even if the Ziggs isn't bot lane, you just need some type of CC, or else he's just throwing out cannons for just like with very low hit percentage, and he's going to get really locked down by Camille TF. So blue side is probably going to go for some type of engaged support here. And then, yeah, that's why I really like having the counter pick support on red side, because say you can have like the Braum last pick or something like that, it does work out really well. But with these gone now, support pool is really opened up with Thresh and Braum gone.
100%.
Yeah.
So they're saving counter pick for Srtty. Makes sense.
Okay.
Taking it with Leona, it makes sense. They went ahead and banned the Braum, so that kind of is an indicator that what they want to do is go ahead and pick the Leona instead. Now red side's kind of dealt with the answer of what are we going to pick with the Ziggs directly as a pairing, especially into a Caitlyn Leona lane.
Yeah, I just assume they just do something really standard with range into the Caitlyn. Usually Caitlyn just has an ADC, like he needs to outrange in order to get pushed. Caitlyn without push is a shit champ. So they did take Nautilus. That does keep the flex alive because Ziggs Nautilus is a good bot lane, but I'd still want to see the APA special of Ziggs mid if possible.
I would agree. Yeah, I don't like the Nautilus pick if you're setting a Ziggs bot lane, I would say. So hopefully they go ahead and take another ADC here and just send. Oh,
no way.
Another special.
Full APA draft here.
Okay.
Oh my god, it's locked
yep.
up. Okay, the thing is, I got so used to APA just hovering it and not picking it. I was like, there's no shot he's going to lock this in. Because like all during last split for amateur, like he always hovered it and just never locked it in. So this is definitely a treat for sure.
Okay. Talon, very strong right now. Poppy.
Volley Bear.
Poppy.
Okay. Predator Poppy? Ekram? Okay, I mean, I actually do like the pick. I'm not gonna lie. I like Ekram a lot. I think it is definitely way more aggressive than the Poppy. I would have not liked to see the Poppy in this particular draft. And this is definitely we're going to play towards Camille in the side lane draft, though. That is for sure.
Yeah, so pretty much it's gonna be. I do think that the top side of blue team's going to be slightly better early. Hopefully they can just make sure that TF can never go top side, and then Dhokla is going to have a really fun time scaling on this Fiora. This bot lane Ziggs into Caitlyn actually is like still pretty good for the Ziggs. They just obviously have a lot of AP damage here when you have Ziggs in an Aurelion Soul. But right. Caitlyn doesn't like being outranged. Ziggs definitely outranges. If Ziggs can get his lost chapter and come back, it's going to be a really good time for the Ziggs, and he's going to just be wave clearing, and then they just have to make sure that they're marking the Hecarim and the Camille. So in terms of comps, like right side probably a little bit easier team fight. Camille's flying in with TF, you have Hecarim. But blue side does outrange, and they do have like the Aurelion Soul factor of just no one really knows what's going on with that champion. So
absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what pathing Srtty tends to go for, because if he's starting to path up to that top lane, he might be looking to add a reverse into that matchup, right? Maybe Camille gets an early kill on the Fiora. That kind of makes it so Fiora isn't allowed to just outscale completely in that matchup. It also opens up the opportunity for Camille to set up waves really nice for the TF to interact with their lane as well. But on the other side, he also can play for bot lane, right? The Ziggs Nautilus lane is not necessarily passive, right? And you obviously have a Leona, which can set up tons of gank potential as well. So there's definitely two ways that you can play this game, and it's going to be interesting to see, especially with the coaches there, what is it they decide to go for and how it works out in success.
Yeah, at least for red side, for the Hecarim, the bot crab seems like it's always going to be a free option, and 100%. The top crab's going to be a fight. So we're going to see right away whether he's just going to go for like the scaling Hecarim pathing, or they're ready to tussle top side. Some Camille's into the Fiora, if they really know this matchup insanely well, are actually fine with it, and they can actually fight for push, and like it gets really scrappy. So I'm expecting a bloodbath top side. I'm expecting Hecarim to path top, to be honest, and we'll get a fight with the first crab.
I'm really expecting that too, actually.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I mean, this one will be interesting, right? Because if you're expecting a bloodbath in the top side, right? This is the duo from Wildcry. This is Winter Dhokla. They've got all of this synergy coming into it. So how do you expect that to work out for someone like LeenK and Srtty that maybe don't have as much time together?
Yeah, I mean, you did touch on supports real quick. Like the supports are, you're gonna have Ziggs bot lane by himself. You're probably gonna have Caitlyn bot lane by himself. You're gonna have Nautilus and Leona roaming around the map a lot. The synergy is going to be helpful. They're definitely going to understand each other's timers, and that's something that the other team is going to have to really talk through in the moment and make sure they have good planning. But but I am expecting especially the Nautilus to move up topside pretty quick. But the Caitlyn Leona should be able to get pushed. So if they can get pushed and then get Leona at the base and run topside, like you're going to get like a faster timer to get this support roam off before the Nautilus can match.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if there's any two players that would not be scared of like a Dhokla Winston combo, it's probably going to be LeenK and Srtty, right? They're both players who are very confident in their individual skill, right? And you kind of see them in their own matches, like you know that they make plays just because they feel like they're better or they know that they're better, right? And so I don't think that they're going to be scared to skill check or going to be scared to just take a fight into the top side. That's why I'm really expecting that City is just going to go ahead and path up to top lane in here. I don't think they're worried about the duo at all.
Yeah. Not too sure of this mid matchups in terms of the dynamics. I would assume that Asol can push a little bit, but it might be possible that he just lets the TF push in like first two waves and then contest at like wave 3, just because the attack speed from TFE is like so annoying. And yeah, once the game goes later, you're gonna have Fiora inside lane. No one can really match him. I'm expecting TF to kind of basically push out his lane, press B, and then run behind the Camille and make a play on Fiora in the side lane. And Ziggs is just going to be throwing out bombs, holding down the mid lane, and hoping that Aurelion Sol and Nautilus can get stuff done. But it's going to be a side lane battle for sure. And it's just going to come down to, honestly, this early skirmish topside. If one team gets a kill topside, I think that's going to make it really hard for the opposing team to come back.
Absolutely.
All right, well, sounds like we got a pretty good summary, gentlemen. We're looking for blood in the early game and then some side laning action as the game progresses. So let's keep our eyes on that first topside Scuttle Crab as we get into the first game of our series here in the Amateur Arena tonight.
And welcome back to the Amateur Arena presented by AOE. I am Jay Turbo, joined alongside Random Minion Caster, aka RMC, as we're already seeing what we expected out of APA in this aggressive Dhokla team as they're looking for this level 1.
Yeah, and if you know APA here on ASO, he often does like to go for those sneaky level 1s here. And actually,
forward, they're going for it. The hook lands, and I think that's going to be first blood. Oh my! Straight on to Winston. One thing we meant to bring up before we got going is that for everyone who maybe saw the graphic and wasn't seeing all the names line up, the string of letters on the Ziggs is, of course, Sketchdreams. Winston is Actor. And on the red side, Srtty is Shubi. So, just so you guys are aware of that moving forward. But still, first blood already onto the Graves.
Yeah, and the one landing that critical hook, of course, being Winter there. It is worth noting that Team Dhokla here, as we enter the pause, their team has some connections. You heard it on the desk, the fact that Dhokla and Winston, of course, they did work together on multiple teams, most recently Wildcard Red. But Winter and APA as well, same team, Team Resolve here. So it hardly surprises me that that catch at the level 1 really started off with Winter finding that hook for APA.
Yeah, it's just building off of that existing synergy, as that can be a really big aspect, I think, especially in this format. You know, with being the amateur arena, you're not in these predetermined teams. It's about everyone trying to sort of have that star moment, and Winter certainly picking one up right here.
Now, since we've got a bit of time with this pause as well, we can touch a little bit on the fact that on the other side, Team Srtty here, there is only really one pairing who have worked together recently, and that is Blueskies and DuoKing in this bot lane here, currently on the same team in the UPL, Unified Premier League. So curious to see, how they really want to play this out here, whether we will see as much roaming. LeenK is starting top side here, so unfortunately, despite what the analyst desk was hoping for, we might not get to see that top side scuttle.
Yeah, might not see it too much, as just some blows traded back and forth. And as you brought up, we're seeing that opposite side pathing where LeenK, he's going for that more scaling Hecarim route, not looking to impact the top lane right away.
Yeah, unless we get some sort of cheesy gank to come through. Still a possibility here, but kind of awkward. Bot side, we are seeing a bit of push, and top side, actually, Shubi and Dhokla, or Srtty and Dhokla, trading pretty hard. We did hear on desk that, some of the Camille's, if you're more confident, can look to try and get that pressure, especially in those earlier levels here. So Srtty getting that level 2, getting this push early is a good sign right now for Team Srtty.
Yeah, definitely a good side for them, as this Caitlyn Leona lane already pushing forward, as, Sketchdreams still not having access to that full kit, getting pushed in just a little bit extra, which never feels too great, but it's again, it's an early Ziggs. It's nothing too crazy.
Yeah, and until you start getting a bit more of that lost chapter, a couple more levels to get the damage to fully clear a wave is going to be a little bit tougher here. Now, Winston is now pathing towards that top side a little bit. We'll be here first because LeenK couldn't find the gank and has wrapped around, was not spotted on vision as he dashed over that wall. Is he going to show?
Oh, not quite, as this is dangerous. Also on the bot side, Blueskies is going incredibly low. Sketchdreams looking for this early kill, trying to answer back, but not quite able to make it work. I didn't even see how Blueskies got that low.
I'm assuming it was a hook coming out of Winter there to kick things off. You can split up the Caitlyn, you can hook the Caitlyn. There's a lot of damage to be had, and that's not what you want to see with that Caitlyn. Srtty just having to disengage. Level 3 and that Fiora starting to be able to answer back quite well.
Yeah, definitely. Fiora really taking advantage of that early spike. Dhokla doesn't want to fall behind, especially up against Srtty. There's a lot of pressure put towards his top side, 2 carries, and it feels like the one that gets the first kill is going to be the one that can maybe start to take over this game.
And Camille, Srtty right now not running that flash with the Ignite instead. Does have a bit more kill threat with that combat summoner, but if he's losing all these trades early, he's not going to want to go in. J-Turbo, I want to look at the mid lane a little bit because APA on his signature Aurelion, so Strompest on this Twisted Fate as well. They can really influence the side lanes, and top lane's not going to give me the shots.
Oh, flashed forward, but I guess nothing happened as we get towards the bot side. But yeah, APA on the signature, this is something we always see hovered, but rarely ever actually see picked, and I'm super excited to see, the very, very well-known ASOL player finally bringing it out.
Yeah, and not only that, but Aso can actually roam pre-6. You're not dependent on your ultimate to roam here. So I'm curious to see if APA does try and do that, or whether he's just trying to push that lane, get the experience. Good disengage coming, but LeenK's here.
Yeah, it looks like LeenK wants to keep this going. Winter though landing the root, and LeenK going very low. That Ignite burn ticking down, not quite enough, as Sketchdreams wasn't able to clean things up. But still, bit of a failed gank out of LeenK and some nice reactions out of Winter.
And on the other side here, Winston just instantly invading the jungle, taking away those raptors as well. The pings are coming up, and I think that's more because APA moved out of lane. The moment he goes into fog here, Srtty just has to back out. You don't know if that Aso is coming out or no. He can move so fast on the map.
Yeah, he really, really can. And, you know, as the analyst deck was seeing it, I was thinking, like, you know, besides Sylas and Ryze, Asol's the only one who can actually respond to the TF, and going this, you know, new sort of Mage Predator keystone, I really like it. And it's just so this style, it's really the only place that you can see these kind of team compositions. And I'm just here for every second of it. And we're already seeing how much respect is put on APA's Asol.
Yeah, you have to. Just so much mobility here. But as much as I wanted to look at the mid lane, it's ultimately still how they're going to impact the other lanes. We are seeing the first backs on the bot lanes as well. And there was talk about the supports, you know, roaming out of base, potentially towards that top lane, leaving their bot laners alone here. So far, we're seeing a little bit of roaming, but not towards the top lane. It looks like both supports are hitting more towards the mid lane here.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it's that they want to start impacting towards this bot side river, look for some early dragon control. I mean, especially with Winston getting ahead early on this Graves, you want to leverage that pressure as much as possible, as DuoKing running into Winter gets hooked up. There's the root. That near side's going to make things a lot tougher to escape, but so many stats from the Leona. She's barely staying alive, but APA trying to clean it up in the flash away, but APA able to slam it down, looking for the double, and there it is. That's why you don't give this man space to play Asol. Looks like the action doesn't stop, as on the top side, Srtty just getting won by Dhokla, and Dhokla might want to keep it going, as Strompest too little too late.
To the bot lane we go.
They keep fighting. There's no space to breathe as Blueskies just taken down under tower this roaming squad, as Team Dhokla's taken everything.
Yeah, and Team Dhokla, it just looks so choreographed there, how quickly they just rotated, roamed around. The fact that they caught DuoKing out, I think, was where everything kicked off. Because the moment DuoKing was dead, all your lanes were kind of exposed, and LeenK, unfortunately, just trying to help out. You don't win that trade when the Aso moves faster. Has Predator now Strompest?
Oh, Strompest looking to... Oh my gosh, almost went down, and LeenK here to try and punish, but Dhokla might be able to escape. No, never mind. There's the devastating charge to clean up a kill, and finally they're able to answer back, but that was still so close.
Yeah, and for Dhokla here, dying there is not the end of the world. It is a bit rough, but don't forget, he got the kill, he got the assist. They've actually lane swapped here on the side of Team Srtty. I like the matchup so far.
Oh, but the Hex Flash is coming forward, but I don't think it matters. Srtty is able to just pick up the kill, and now Winter's stuck without any damage, as it looks like he might be trying to buy time for Winston to roam up, but little too late, as at the very least, you know, Srtty staying in the game, keeping that mental up.
And I really like that lane swap that came out from Srtty there. The fact that Strompest was already top lane here, doesn't have Destiny, doesn't have Teleport. So having him in the mid lane is not quite as impactful. And you can see the weakness of Asol there. Two champions with very high mobility. You get inside, you get into melee range of those orbs, those stars there, and suddenly Asol just can't duel with you. So great swap to help Srtty. That potential win con for Red Team to get back in the game. Strompest.
Yeah. As now Strompest looking to be the next one to go down, but the hook goes wide, still gets stunned up by the Asol, and Winston here to clean up. As you said, Dhokla's team looks good, but now it's Winston who's getting caught out, throws out the Dragon Breath, and it's not quite enough. Stun goes down as APA is just trying to escape. Might be able to do this. DuoKing doesn't offer much damage, and LeenK is getting chunked out. That was looking dicey for a moment.
Yeah, APA knowing his champion limits, he didn't actually take that much damage. It was just the Leona, and LeenK had already blown a lot of that upfront burst, the skill damage onto Winston. I want to go back to the beginning of that fight. The fact that the roam up from Winter to make that kill happen onto Strompest, Winter didn't get an assist because Strompest played that the best he could, actually dodged everything that Winter threw out. It's just when you get ganked by 3, there's not too much you can do, and buying time is really all you can look for there.
Yeah, as you know, buying time, that can be the name of the game sometimes, as Srtty just clearing waves against Dhokla. We're seeing in the bot side, Sketchdreams just trying to keep this lane in a decent spot, as DuoKing hasn't really been opting to roam as much as it feels Winter has, who's finally impacting the top lane. And now Dhokla's low, but LeenK wants to get the re-engage. Winter wasn't ready for this. Here comes the Destiny, and the play's falling apart. You've got the Graves on the side, but it might not be enough. Dhokla flashing away, barely staying alive, but Winston doing tons of damage as he's just hiding to infinity, and here comes APA. There's the Galaxy, goes wide, but the stars should be enough damage. Strompest first one to go down. LeenK answered back, and now Srtty, the one who started it all, having to run away.
J-Turbo, I know that originally we started, on the AD saying that Dhokla, Srtty, these are the big carries, everything's going to be about this top lane. Kinda, yeah, not really. Yes, everything's around the top lane, but Dhokla is kind of bait right there. He knew he was dead, and he bought so much time. He got the flash out as well there, or actually, it wasn't the flash. I don't know what that was. The gap closer potentially from Srtty there, because it didn't look like the hook shot, but they bought so much time that APA managed to get there and pick up, and it becomes a 1-for-2 trade. It would definitely be worth it if they weren't dropping so many plates in the bot lane from those winter roams.
Yeah, as Winter roaming up, yeah, you're impacting this top side of the map. You might not be impacting your top laner, but you're still getting, Winston on this Grave super far ahead. Already got his Youmu's just 10 minutes in, but in the bot side, you're letting this Caitlyn have just so much free money, pushing in plate after plate, as Sketchdreams can only do so much.
Yeah, Sketchdreams did now pick up the lost chapter though, so now we'll have at least enough mana to try and perma push here. We are seeing some interesting lane assignments. Dhokla actually going down to catch that big wave in the bot side, and now they're trying to swap back. Now we see Sketchdreams going right back down to that bot lane again. Like I said, with the lost chapter, should have enough wave clear to push out, and Dhokla going back into Srtty here when Srtty has these extra kills right now. I'm curious to see how this matchup goes, because Fiora is supposed to be the counter to Camille, but if the Camille's ahead, I don't know how true that still holds.
Yeah, I was going to say, you brought up how it's been all about this top side. Well, at the very least, Srtty's been on the receiving end of a lot of this pressure from his squad, but now getting caught under tower, having to hook shot away, as Dhokla getting some nice chunk damage. Although, Srtty already has the Triforce in comparison to just a Phage and an Iron Spike.
Yeah, the Mythic not quite ready here for Dhokla, and I'm curious to see if we continue seeing that pressure into the top side. Bot side, I think, is a viable place to gank as well, and has been left largely alone for the most part here. For both these teams, the fact that if we see Sketchdreams alone, LeenK can go in for that gank from behind, just devastating him, charge him out.
Yeah, as now, here comes that... It doesn't even matter. The ulti came out, but there was too many resources on top as Winter's hook goes wide, but the Zenith Blade doesn't. Satchel Pack used to disengage for a moment as DuoKing just trying to stay alive. As there's action all over the map as APA and Winston taking down mid tower, and that's first tower going down, and I think you're fine sacrificing your top laner for first tower, but Winter wants to keep on rolling, and here comes APA as well, but there's not enough damage. Never mind. Sketchdreams with the Mega Inferno Bomb to bring it down, and Winston with the stylish jump over the wall to escape.
I love the fact that he used the collateral damage there to jump over that wall. Didn't have flash available. Quick draw already used as well here. And again, it just feels like Team Dhokla right now, their proactive plays are really solid. They're finding more out of it. They get the mid lane turret. They get the kill. They get the dragon as well. The gold card chasing all the way back to Fountain.
Oh, Strompest. That one just feels bad. You're so close on the timer, and instead it's just a lonely gold card going all the way back to the Fountain. As now, let's sort of take note of what just happened. Top tower went down, mid tower went down, but the trades all feel like they're going in favor of Team Dhokla.
Hold up a second. LeenK might get caught out.
Yeah, it looks like LeenK could be going down as no flash on the Hacker. I'm forced to use that onslaught of shadows. Does manage to escape. And I actually just noticed LeenK not opting for Ghost either, going with the Ignite and Smite with the Predator. Although Sketchdream stepping a little too far forward, and it looks like everyone's stepping too far forward. Srtty doing a lot of damage onto Winter. Winston doing what he can to try and peel out as LeenK healing up off the Krugs, but it doesn't matter. Srtty just taking the 2v1, and in the bot side, Sketchdream's taking on Blueskies, and Dhokla cleaning up on a DuoKing. It's a 2-for-2 across the map.
Another huge burst of action here, and J-Turbo, I completely agree. We need to take stock of what's happening, because as much as it feels like Team Dhokla is more proactive and they're winning these trades, they're still down in gold right now. They're not actually outright winning the trades because bot side is making a huge difference. Blueskies and DuoKing have stripped so many plates off this bot lane here compared to what Sketchdreams has managed to do. And Srtty is finding kills. Yes, it's nice that, you know, APA, that Winston are getting ahead, but are they gonna be the ultimate late game carry here? Srtty is getting those kills, and we've seen now that Srtty can 1v1 anybody on this Rift. Nobody is comfortable dealing with him, and he can be a win con in and of himself. Everybody else, you're just stalling. And if anybody tries to answer this Camille, Strompest can get there. LeenK can very quickly run across the map as well. And the entirety of Team Dhokla's problem right now is Srtty. How do you deal with him?
Yeah, and you brought up, you know, the trouble with trying to sort of play to the split pusher. You know, there's two ways to play against him. You can either just ignore them for a little bit, try and take more on the map, or go straight to him. But if you try to raid boss him, there's two or three, you know, other teammates who can get there in the blink of an eye, and it's no longer, you know, a raid boss fight. It's a whole team fight. It makes things that much tougher as Dhokla doing his best to just clear waves in this bot side.
Yeah, at least he does have the Gore Drinker now, so the mythic to mythic advantage is slightly nullified. Still down about half an item though, and it looks like Team Dhokla right now have been responding by trying to take turrets elsewhere. They have the Ziggs, so they can take turrets very, very quickly. And if they can catch, you know, the globals out here, such as Strompest with that Destiny, then no one can reinforce him.
Yeah, very true. As the gold card was picked up, didn't need to get used, as just able to walk away from that little gank. As at this point on the map, you know, it feels like there's two avenues for each of these teams to play through. Obviously, on Srtty's side, it is that Camille, but for Dhokla's team, it's not actually going to be Dhokla. This Fiora, as you mentioned earlier, feels more like a bait at this point, where it's all about the Graves, all about this Acel.
Yeah, and they can continue to play around objectives, even if they can't necessarily deal with the split push. If you can force Srtty to come to you in big 5v5 team fights, Camille's effectiveness is slightly lowered. Yes, she still has very easy engage to find the likes of Sketchdreams and Dhokla, and Dhokla.
And Dhokla, it looks like he's just going to be going down, as the devastating charge, not even needed, won't take any of that assist gold. Dhokla trying to run away, but Srtty's just a little too speedy and will take that kill down, as punishing, you know, the over-aggression, or at least over-push from Dhokla in that bot side with no tier 1 tower left standing.
LeenK coming in here.
Oh, LeenK with the Onslaught of Shadows, trying to get a pick down on a Sketchdreams, not able to find it, and somehow waddles his way out. But now here comes the big man, Srtty on the Camille, doing as much as possible, getting chunked out by Sketchdreams, still having plenty of impact despite being very, very low. And an overall 1-for-1, so still not able to convert quite yet off of this massive sort of Srtty lead.
Honestly, that should have gone way worse for Team Srtty there, but LeenK getting in there, getting the damage done, and having Srtty to back him up made all the difference. Normally when we charge in 1v4, you're gonna get bursted down, and then you lose control of all the objectives. And speaking of objectives here, Herald still up for a bit. Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds, and I did say that if Team Dhokla wants to come back into this right now, the split push option isn't completely online for Dhokla. It's gonna take a bit more time, so I want to see them try and set up for these objectives. Control it here. You've got the Ziggs. You've got ways to deny the entry. And for Team Srtty, they'll have to force engages. They don't have good answer to the Ziggs poke right now.
Yeah, they don't have very many answers, as they just want to engage. But if they can keep poking them out, it might make life a lot easier, unless Srtty's just trying to dive on in, looking for Dhokla, but can't quite find anything yet, as it's just a stalemate right now. Strompest pushing the top side. Looks like a concede out of Team Srtty.
Well, Team Srtty, I appreciate that they're not going to waste time trying to fight this here. We'll go for we'll go for Herald. We'll go for top side pressure as well. Srtty?
Oh, Srtty, though, getting caught in the wrong spot, as lots of CC coming down, but Winter's already dead, turning this fight around. Here comes the Destiny. Not Actor, Winston's down. LeenK cleans up APA, and it's just Sketchdreams under tower. Form going down in the blink of an eye.
Okay, I thought Srtty made a mistake and went golden by accident, burning the stopwatch. No. Apparently, it was all bait, and the team was ready to react. But you see how quickly they can move. Strompest was pushing top. No problem. I've got Destiny. I can get there. LeenK doing Herald. Again, no problem. I'll just run in. Not even necessarily running Moby boots or Swifty boots here, but with Predator, you can just charge on right in there, and you've always got to have that in the back of your mind for Team Dhokla. It's cost them an ace, it's cost them a turret, and it's going to cost them a herald.
It's costing them everything that Team Srtty can find on the map right now. And I mean, you brought up how it feels like, you know, Dhokla, they're trying to be proactive, but on the other side, Srtty, they're just winning some of these fights, especially when Srtty is present. This Camille is out of control. And how do you think, you know, Team Dhokla, you brought up team fights, but now it feels like they can't even do that. Are they really relying on poke? Because now the tier 1s are gone, there's not many objectives they can actually play for, I feel.
It still ultimately, to me, comes back to trying to find picks or these team fights right now. In that last team fight, I do think they were caught a little bit off guard by the direction where everybody was coming in from. They exposed their backline to Strompest there, who got the gold card into Everfrost combo onto squishy targets like Sketchdreams, like Winston here. You've got to keep that in mind. And as long as they can ward their flanks in these team fights, I think they still have a chance. They also need to play to some of their stronger members here. The fact that APA still does a lot of damage, can out-damage that Twisted Fate, especially in sustained fights. And the fact that Sketchdreams is 2 levels up on Blueskies right now. Levels are just as important, if not more so, for AP mages than they are for AD carries. So I do think the Ziggs is still in a very good position to pump out damage here.
Yeah, really, really good points. That Ziggs just being that poke machine. But you know, one thing I sort of want to bring up, I'm not super familiar with Aurelion Sol and what sort of builds you go for, as still no mythic picked up for APA quite yet. Is the giant galaxy coming across the screen. But you know, what's the next direction after the Seraphs?
I believe APA usually goes Leandries at this point here. The rush for the Rylai's is in order to lock people down, to apply slow on those orbs to help you position better, to stick on the targets, and that's often what we see APA build very early on. Ceres for the mana as well, because you do kind of need or you don't need it, but it certainly helps out, especially in the laning phase, having the extra bit of mana, and Sterak's Embrace gives you a ton of AP as well. So at this point, I would expect a mythic to start coming through here for APA, most likely Leandries.
And that'll definitely help burn through these targets that are just going to get tankier in, you know, Srtty's Camille and LeenK's Hecarim. So it could become a bit of a problem, as now Dhokla caught an awkward spot. Nice dodge away from the devastating charge, and the rest of the team here to answer. Lots of resources used, and Strompest barely dodging that stun, as a lot of movement, but not much action.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on the sort of Predator Mage build that we're seeing a lot. APA running the Predator, but Strompest running the Predator as well. It has been so effective, just destining to a target and then running in, getting the gold card for everybody to follow up. In that particular case, it also allowed him to threaten and yet dodge out on the stun. If he had gotten caught, I think Team Dhokla might have been able to find a pick and then maybe win the subsequent fight. But with that movement speed, able to dodge out, and both these teams now playing it a little bit more carefully. Team Srtty are fine with this. They continue the split push, and they continue to punish anybody who tries to answer Srtty.
Yeah, a lot of this fighting has started to slow down, and now they're just coalescing, I think, towards this next dragon. As if you're Team Srtty, you don't want to give up Soul Point, since it gives, you know, that extra win condition for these very, very squishy targets in the Ziggs, in the Graves, in the Acel.
Yeah, in this case, it is going to be the Mountain Soul, so defensive stats to come through. And I do think that's important considering how a lot of these fights have gone, where some of your squishier damage carries are getting burst out early. And it'll help Dhokla. I think Dhokla will take every little bit of help he can get right now. The moment Dhokla can start to handle the Srtty split push is the moment where I think Team Dhokla are going to have a lot more agency on the map to actually make things happen and not have to worry about having to constantly reinforce, constantly deal with that split push.
Yeah, that's very true, as now with just 15 seconds left until this dragon spawns, both teams starting to try and get set up, and some pressure already being applied with that Herald getting dropped. It'll just be a passive push, but Team Dhokla on the other side answering in the mid lane. But here comes the engage. DuoKing with the solar flare, and that's massive. It's going on to APA, but APA somehow still alive, diving through the fight. LeenK trying to clean things up, and we'll finally get that one kill. Mega Inferno Bomb used to shut down the Hecarim, but in the meantime, Dhokla just TP'd into 4 members and got destroyed, as now Team Srtty gonna pick up the dragon, likely gonna pick up the bot tower, and looking for more.
They can continue pushing into this mid lane as well. They have minions coming in. Baron not on the table though, because LeenK did go down and he was the jungler, was the smite for the team. Really good play and setup on Team Srtty. They're dropping the Herald down bot. that kind of forced Team Dhokla to have to pull the trigger. And because they were at the Dragon and they cleared out all the vision as well, Team Dhokla were caught between a rock and a hard place. And I appreciate they tried to go for that mid lane turret instead, but they just don't have the vision to be allowed to do that when you can just get caught from behind, and Destiny was available for Strompest.
Yeah, just too many resources available as now Blueskies maybe a little too far forward, but with that 90 caliber net, we'll be able to just jump away as now tempo's completely shifted into Team Srtty's favor. They have really complete control over this map. I mean, just looking at the vision, it's so tough, I feel, for Dhokla's team to enter any part of the river that Srtty squad is trying to lock down. They just move as a unit, and what can you do when there's this, you know, massive raid boss in the Camille that you can't even take down?
Well, you try and set up some sort of ambush here, some sort of pushback. You're right, they don't have vision control in a lot of the jungle. So what you do is you pick a quadrant, you pick a part of the map, and you go, this is our territory. You try and set up for it here. And that is exactly what they're looking for. Very risky backs coming through. I'm actually surprised DuoKing didn't try and pull the trigger. But like we said, for Team Srtty, they're not in a rush. They're okay with the state of things so far. Srtty, again, just continuing the split push at the bot side. Destiny actually getting popped.
Yeah, Destiny getting popped might have just been for vision to see where exactly they can start to move around the map. As Srtty trying to steal away this red buff. Don't think he'll be successful though. The 2-level lead on Dhokla might just look to try and kill him, but hookshot forced over the wall as now Dhokla wants to continue this fight, but I don't think he realized LeenK is nearby. Oh! Beautiful dodge out of the super Inferno bomb, and oh, Srtty almost escaping, but that ultimate coming through and getting the kill is now it's a scattered fight. Winston doing what he can as it looks like Winter's the next one on the chopping block as the 3v4 APA forced to retreat and Winston left out to dry. The gold card to confirm the kill, and Strompest will clean up that kill as LeenK is not done yet. He's looking for Sketchdreams on this. Ziggs pops the ignite, but with no more follow-up will be forced to let the little explosive Yordle waddle away.
That was disgusting, JJ. But watching Twisted Fate and Leona just take turns stunning you up. You get hit by one gold card, and good luck. You're dropping more frames than the stream does at times here. You just won't get the move. Now, Baron is on the table this time. LeenK did survive. No smite, though. And Team Dhokla, they're rushing to try and answer here.
Yeah, they've got to try and find an answer, but teleport's getting matched. Srtty has respawned, and that Camille damage is going to do a lot at chunking down this Baron, as it's already at half before this team can even make it over. APA is trying to make his way to the pit, but this Baron's already...
No smite!
Oh, there's no smite. Actually, you're right. They're trying to keep it alive, trying to bring it down, and finally Srtty takes it down. APA goes golden, but goes down, as now Sketchdreams is the next one up, as... a dive forward from DuoKing works out as Strompest has his back, but the ultimate from Winston gonna clean things up as a very, very scattered fight. 2 for 3, not the worst for Team Dhokla, but Baron for Team Srtty.
Yeah, and for Team Srtty here, the Baron is, of course, the big takeaway. It's worth so much gold, and the pushing pressure it gives you. We keep talking about Srtty's pushing pressure, but let's not forget Caitlyn's range as well makes her very adept at siege. Strompest has been applying a ton of map pressure. Was it necessary to lose 2 members? No, but they have sped up the pace of the game, and Team Dhokla, who has been on the back foot this entire time, continues to remain so against this Baron push.
Yeah, and it all feels like it stems back to, you know, that early pressure we saw in the top side where Dhokla was the bait and Srtty was the sort of receiver of all of those resources, as they have, you know, sort of inverted KDs, with one being 2 and 7 and the other being 7 and 2.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's only grown real here. Yeah, like in lane, it was like, okay, 1 and 3, 3 and 1. Now it's like 7 and 2, 2 and 7. That is a huge problem. About another minute and a half of Baron buff, and if you look at the state here of Team Dhokla's base, you've got 1 inner turret in the top lane. Everything else is base turrets right now. And in terms of trying to deal with a potential 1-3-1 or a 1-4 coming out of Team Srtty, we talked about Srtty, okay, the fact that you have to have multiple people answering that, but you can have Strompest also split push on the side, use that Destiny to see anybody coming in to get the pick, and then just to Destiny away to the rest of the team. Winston barely dodging out.
Getting stunned up, but oh no, there's the CC chain we saw as LeenK somehow able to escape. Never mind, there's the ulti coming down, but Srtty's too big as Sketchdreams is already off the map, and there goes Dhokla, there goes APA, forced to go golden, but that's not going to be long for this world as the ace finally comes through, and now Team Srtty looking to find as much as possible. Might be able to find the game.
Yeah, I mean, 20 seconds here on Winston, and there's still 40 seconds of Baron buff. They've got the minion waves coming in. J Turbo, I was talking about a 1-3, 1-4. Doesn't matter. It's just the catch. It's the end. They know they don't want to waste time, and that's the first one in the books, and every bit as exciting as we thought it'd be.
Yes, certainly. Every bit as exciting. It was a really, really interesting game, I think, where we talked about this focus on the top side. We saw those early fights, and the top laner that benefited was the one who took the game.
Yeah, pretty much. And they called it on the analyst desk. What was very interesting to me as well was sort of how the dynamic between a lot of these players worked out. Dhokla, Winston, right? That's a duo that has played together, but we didn't really see that super strong top side. And on the other side, for Team Srtty here, Srtty, LeenK, Strompest, all very strong-willed members here, often calling for a lot of resources. But in this game, they worked it out perfectly. They knew exactly who to send the resources to. They said, okay, we're going to get Srtty ahead. And then Strompest was like, okay, I'm going to save a lot of those destinies for topside. We're going to leave Blueskies and DuoKing alone. And that duo on the bot side just held their own, did not get run over whatsoever, and ended up, despite going down early in CS and a bit of kills, up in terms of turret pressure and turret plates.
Yeah, and that was completely it. You brought up how every trade that went well for Team Dhokla on the top side was answered by plates in the bot side. I mean, they weren't able to keep that pressure going. But for even more game breakdown, we're going to throw it back to the analyst. So DJ, take it away.
Welcome back to the analyst desk after a very exciting game number one in which we didn't quite get the 3-minute scuttle crab fight we were expecting because the game started so quickly, and honestly, it continued to go quickly for blue side at the beginning, gentlemen.
Yeah, props to Dhokla. He did get the solo kill in the first 5 minutes of the game, and then after that, Srtty disappeared for 2 to 3 minutes, came back topside with 3 kills. And then was able to get a super early Trinity Force that made him enforce that entire game. And just props to Srtty. Once he got his advantage, he played it super well. He spread his advantage. He was able to not get caught out. He got caught out, I think, maybe once. But besides that, just clean play. Played the fights very well, too. So just props to Srtty.
Yeah, and also props definitely to blue side, too. I think they knew exactly what they wanted to do, especially at level 1. Hecarim has no flash, and we have a Nautilus, right? So, we're just going to invade. We're going to see if Hecarim's there. We're going to try and get a free kill. And I think that's really kind of what set the early pace of the game. We saw blue side definitely had the advantage in the early game, and I think a lot of it came off of that, right? The scuttle fight probably not going to happen when Graves gets the first kill and has a longsword early, right? You normally don't want to take a fight into that. And so, yeah, definitely props to blue side. I also want to give a shout out to Winter. I feel like a lot of the plays that happened early game were off of the back of him, right? It seemed like he always had first move. His timings were really great. Also shout out to Sketchdreams, because when Winter was gone, he knew how he needed to play his lane in order to stay alive. And so, I think the scuttle prediction was definitely wrong, but in terms of the prediction of this just being a battle, and obviously LeenK and Srtty on the red side just not caring who they're up against, those predictions were really great, and it was just fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, very fun to watch. There were some outside factors in the scuttle fight, so I think we could be forgiven for that prediction that might have come true otherwise. But like you said, a lot of skirmishing, a lot of fighting, and that does speak to the mental strength, right, of those two players we were highlighting on the red side in Srtty and LeenK, because that start of the game was fairly disastrous at about the 6-minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, they were just down 3-0, 4-0. Their ball lane got dove after it went badly in the mid lane, and just basically everyone died, and they really brought it back. Also, touching on the mid lane matchup, so Strompest and APA, many people don't have a lot of experience against Aurelion Sol, but he was able to kind of match it early. The Aurelion Sol didn't really have the most proactivity, and the TF was able to match it. And come to mid game, late game, he was able to make those TF ports really count. And Strompest had a lot of value on the TF. They had the pick on Graves. They had a few picks that basically led them to the Baron. So definitely got his TF value later in the game, and early game didn't let the Aurelion Sol just snowball out of control.
Yeah, and I think an additional point worth mentioning is that when it comes to draft, Fiora was the answer to Camille, right? So I'm expecting, if we're talking about next draft at all, maybe we're just going to go ahead and ban the Camille, right? It didn't seem like they had the early prioritization. They wanted the Graves first pick on the blue side anyways. And when they came to an answer about what we want to answer with the Camille, it was Fiora. And I mean, yes, we did have a success with it early, but we saw what happens if Camille finds any kind of kills across the map. Like, she becomes a monster that just cannot be dealt with, right? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, based on what we saw last game, how it is that they choose to adapt going into next game.
And that's where we can look next. Start with you, Nova, since you did bring it up. What would you like to see maybe coming out of this blue side team, Dhokla, Winston, to try to turn around a little bit what happened? Are you looking for something different, maybe just slight changes to what we saw in game number 1?
Definitely ban Camille is the first thing I would say. Aside from that, I think that they put a lot of pressure into the bot side. Like, a shout out if we're talking about mentals to Blueskies and DuoKing. Because obviously they were 0 and 5 at one point, and they were able to bring it back. But it seemed like a lot of the resources or a lot of the dedication was going into shutting those two down. Maybe we start to see it being more the reverse flip side, right? Like, okay, if you're going to take fights up against Srtty, like, we're going to make sure that we send Asol top. We're going to make sure we send APA top or Winston top. Maybe more of that versus, trying to make things happen all across the map at one point.
Thinkard, anything to add from your perspective?
Yeah, so from Nova talked about blue side. Just from red side, I thought that they had very good picks. It's the classic Camille TF, very bread and butter. The Hecarim ended up getting to a point that it was useful too. I know the Caitlyn is very clean, but that is a tough champion to blind when you don't get one of the ideal supports with the pick, like Morgana and Lux in like good matchups. So maybe they change up their AD carry priority a little bit to make sure they have an easier job, just in terms of matchup. But besides that, I thought the comp made sense. I thought once they scaled up and the Camille got ahead, they knew exactly what they needed to do. They didn't kill themselves at the second dragon when they weren't there. So just pretty disciplined gameplay from them. And once they got their advantages, they held on. So maybe a few tweaks to draft, but besides that, well done.
All right, so some compliments from Thinkard, just some few tweaks, what we're looking for in draft, and I might be getting word that we can get into that draft fairly shortly. I think just maybe one more minute for a couple of the players. So I have one question, gentlemen, and we were kind of joking about this before the cast, but if we were to get, say, a Teemo in this series, who would it come from?
Support, for sure. It would have to come from DuoKing. I feel like I've actually seen him maybe play it in solo queue in his history. So yeah, definitely DuoKing would be my suggestion for the team up pick.
Maybe that's the Camille counter they need. Maybe
True.
they need to really dig deep and bring it out.
Wow. Okay, just leave that open for sure. Yeah, bust out the Teemo. I mean, I've been waiting for it. I know our producer Benjamin's. He really wants it tonight. So maybe if Dhokla or AP are listening, they could Draxter's listening. They could slip it into a draft somewhere. Any other? So actually, speaking of that kind of pick, any other counters to Camille? I know we were kind of mentioning this while we were on the desk, but do you see any other counters that could come into something as strong as something like that Camille?
Yeah, I mean, the Fiora honestly is fine. They just really need to make sure the Camille doesn't get kills when like she's roaming around the map. Camille has a ton of agency, so like you mess up once, she flies across the entire screen and gets a kill, and it gets hard. But Dhokla did get the solo kill. I'm sure that if Camille didn't get 2 or 3 kills at the 6-minute mark, he would have continually punished the matchup. In terms of other picks, Cho'Gath matches up super well against Camille. You can pick something like Jace and just kind of hump it the whole game and make sure that she can never leave lane. But that's obviously super skill. The Camille gets ahead, punishes the Jace a lot. It's just a very strong pick. So I would assume that it gets first picked or it gets banned. Or they just do a salty run back where Dokla's like, I want to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, other picks that you obviously see like sometimes the Poppy has been picked a lot recently. If you think about the interaction with her E, it can definitely be really good. We've seen Jax, I think, is like the main counter if we're talking about Worlds or just like any professional play. But even in that matchup, Camille does get early prio, or she can early get prio. So that can be kind of concerning, especially if you're trying to play for top side in terms of Crab and Scuttle prio early. And then Shen is also another pick, but then you're kind of just picking Shen, especially playing up against like Srtty. Like, he's still just going to get resources if you pick Shen, right? So yeah, I definitely think Card is definitely right. I think it's either going to be a first pick and prioritize, or it's just going to be a ban for sure.
Gotcha. All right. So definitely options on the table for that, Camille, but still expecting it to either be the same first pick or a ban with how strong it is. Just getting word, we are still waiting just a minute or so for this second draft. The players are almost ready. Maybe just going through a couple of these changes that we were talking about from the draft in game number 1 to game number 2. One interesting thing I think we did see happen in it. Okay, hold up. Production. Nope. We are still going to need, I think, a couple minutes to get ready. So we are going to throw it to a very short break. Hopefully it will not be too long. And we will be right back with you here with the Amateur Arena presented by AOE Esports. Welcome back, everybody. The players are raring to go as we are already hopping into the second draft of our 3-game block tonight. Lux, once again, going to be taken off the table on the blue side, and now we await the first ban from Team Dhokla, and it's the Graves actually going to be taken away by the players that were, or by the team that was using him last game.
Yeah, so it kind of makes me think that they aren't as afraid of the Camille as they are the Graves. They think that the Graves is more valuable, unless they ban Camille now and they're just like, you know what, we do not want to play against Graves or Camille. And Yumi's off the table, so red side now does have an extra ban. So they banned the Graves and the Camille, so there it is.
Yeah, so now we're looking at what they're going to be first picking. Obviously, Misfortune is really good still. I've seen first picks be towards the mid lane as well, right? LeBlanc is a really high prio mid. You can also see Leona be a first pick or Thresh be a first pick. Some teams, I think T1 was actually the one that just went ahead and first picked the Aphelios. So many different routes that you can still go down depending on what you want to what you want to play. I think TF is one pick that we didn't touch on a lot. In these AoE in-houses, I think TF has been picked pretty frequently. Maybe I'm saying that without too much information, but definitely a champion that can, especially with teams that don't have a lot of practice or synergy together, can just demoralize or just shut down a team completely, right? So not surprised to see that banned. Lucian being picked, looking for the Lucian Nami, definitely not surprised by that.
Yeah, Morgana taken away, Lucian first pick, TF, like you mentioned, super strong pick, thrown off the table. Now it's all about, okay, what are they going to pick into this Lucian? Do they want to just take away the Nami? Do they want to play a Lulu lane into the Lucian Nami? Tons of options. And yeah, with the Lucian in the game, it is a little surprising that they did ban away the Morgana, but they're opting in just to the MF.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's. I don't know if they're just going to go ahead and take a jungle pick. I know Zinzao was previously banned in the first 3 rotation. So I know Srtty's team had placed high prio on banning that and just not giving it to Winston. It's definitely up now if they want to go ahead and take it. Leona Misfortune, obviously, as a lane, is really dominating and wins a lot of matchups. Lee Sin definitely is a jungle pick for sure.
All right, Lee Sin getting taken away. Did get hit a few times in a row by all the changes. Like Lee Sin got nerfed himself, and then they nerfed Gourd Drinker as well. So overall win rate of the champ has been declining, but still scales with the player, right? You put a very good player on Lee Sin, and they will find the angles, they will find the kicks. Instant response with the Karthus Leona. So Leona Lucian, not like the normal thing that you're thinking about, but it does make me think, okay, Karthus has been locked in. It could be Lucian mid, it could be Lucian top. So they're going to be holding this Lucian flex all the way down. And now red side has to think, okay, how are we going to deal with this Lucian flex? Probably just going to pick support here. And then on 4, they have to decide whether they're going to blind the mid or their top because they don't know where this Lucian's going. So Thresh locked in.
Yeah, I've worked with players who definitely play Karthus, both whether it's in the ADC or the jungle role. And specifically for jungle, if you see Lee Sin, like a lot of times they will tell you that Karthus is the good matchup, or into the Lee Sin specifically. And so one thing I think that you did touch on, I don't know if we talked about it specifically, maybe the Karthus goes ADC, right? Like in terms of what you're drafting on red side, like you kind of have to take that into consideration, right? We've been seeing Karthus AD picked more in solo queue. I think more in EU it's been picked a lot more. So definitely pretty interesting. The Leona pick is just taking it away. Misfortune Leona obviously is a terrible combo in terms of like having to play against it. So opting to take the Leona and not taking the Nami for the Lucian, which I think is pretty significant for sure. It also just means that you're not diving or committing to that Lucian Nami lane.
Yeah, touching on the red champions right now, they don't have the biggest lockdown for the Misfortune, so it doesn't feel ideal. They are picking this Thresh, so it seems like they're just going to try to hold their prio and make sure that they can have the Thresh roaming in river. They banned out Syndra Rise, so immediately LeBlanc is looking way stronger with TF, Rise, and Syndra out of the game. Lissandra is still in the game, but some people don't mind that matchup too much. And yeah, I just need to see what this 5 ban is going to be. With the Kennen taken off the table, it does open some stuff off top. Victor ban, to me, that basically means that Lucian's going mid lane. Victor is one of the best picks into it, so I'm expecting red side to kind of know this is happening, lock into LeBlanc, and it'll just be Lucian versus LeBlanc.
I would definitely say that this is Dhokla just saying, all right, like give me the counter pick again. This is going to go very different. Like I'm just going to go ahead and make that prediction. Like I think Dhokla is not happy about game 1, and going into game 2, he's like, I need the better matchup because I'm going to demolish this guy. That's my prediction already.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate here. But they have to decide what they want for AD. I think Jhin, very great pick. Jhin Karthus. works well together. The LeBlanc is going to be slightly annoying. Okay, they pivot to the Aphelios. Aphelios still pretty good matchup into the Misfortune. You will get pushed in though. So this MF Thresh, I'm expecting them to get the push and like kind of hold prio. As the Aphelios Leona, very strong in skirmishes, and they have to be able to, you know, find that one angle to kind of gain control of the game. But then once they get it, it's really hard to get it back. And now we're just dealing with a blind for Srtty.
Yeah. I know Lucian players do not mind the LeBlanc matchup at all, so I'm more than expecting that to go mid, and then obviously you're just having still AP Karthus, which is 100% what they do. They just blind pick the Ornn. Now Dhokla obviously has the answer. Sometimes people will just take the Sylas as an answer into the Ornn. It's just kind of, I mean, there's tons of great ultimates already on blue side, so that is definitely something that you could look for. He might also look for the Fiora again, which I know is still up on the table, which is also very good into the Ornn. So Dhokla has lots of picks. It's just depending on how he wants to play this game.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to out-team fight the comp on the left, but I was about to point out, like, if they do, they need to pick something like a set, because then they can actually, like, knock the Ornn backwards and get MF some lockdown to be able to do something. But the left side, you've got Karthus, you've got Ornn, you've got Aphelios. You are scaling. You're doing really well if the game's in an even spot. Whereas red side, they really need this LeBlanc to get some kills. They have the LeBlanc Lee Sin. They're going to have a lot of 2v2 pressure in those mid-jungle 2v2s, and they need to be able to get some value and have some early team fights go their way. But once again, like, both teams have decent tools. It just comes down to execution.
Yeah, and I think this is just the benefit of the Lucian, right? You have the opportunity to flex it potentially into all three lanes, but specifically more towards the ADC in the mid. And we can see the kind of comps that can be drafted around having, you know, a team comp like this. So definitely seems like blue side had a specific plan going into draft. They knew that they wanted to leave up everything but the Lucian, and they wanted to make sure that that's the pick that they took, and they adapted really well to their draft.
Yeah.
All right, so we got some clever drafts with some very differing win conditions, gentlemen, which is always makes for a good game of League of Legends. I think, as you highlighted, you know, this red side team gonna need to have that early advantage to have any hopes against the scaling on this blue side. But when do you kind of see that lead shifting, right? If red side plays this out the way you would expect, at what point in the game is blue side really starting to get happy with their items, with their power to turn around team fights, turn around the state of the game?
I think that if blue side is either gets one dragon or is basically even gold by like the 18-minute mark, 19-minute mark, I think they should be very comfortable just being like, okay, like, we can even let them get this next dragon. They won't have soul, and we can scale to like 26, 27 minutes. And it just comes down to making sure the enemy team doesn't get a dragon by like 23 minutes. And then if you can get to 26 minutes, Ornn's level 13, dishing out his Ornn items. There's an Aphelios. Aren't really afraid of too much besides LeBlanc. It gets a lot simpler to just play out the team fights that way, and there's not too much threat besides, you know, LeBlanc winning through side.
Yeah, I mean, additionally, it's just like, if Aphelios ever gets 3 items, like, good luck to red side. Like, it's going to be really unfortunate to try and play into that. They have so many different opportunities for engage. Like, you have the Ornn ultimate, you have the Leona ults, right? And then even if you do manage to kill the Aphelios, right, you still have the Lucian that's just like pounding on you, and a Karthus ult that's just raining down on you. So like, yeah, I definitely agree. If there is an early dragon take on the blue side, I think it is going to be very hard, or just demoralizing to have to play against if you're red side.
Yeah, but going back to red side, I do like this type of situation bot side where they have LeBlanc with a pushing bot side and Lee Sin. So like, if they coordinate it super well, they might be able to organize a dive bot lane. They might even be able to just pull the Thresh towards the mid lane and just start to pressure the Lucian. And even if Lucian loses flash early, that's huge for the matchup. And then LeBlanc can play way more aggressive. And this top side, we didn't really talk about the lane phase. The set does like playing against the Ornn early. So the Ornn is going to be able to scale just fine. But if they can kill the Ornn once with a dive, then the set is going to be very useful the whole game. So they have a lot of agency early. They just need to make sure that they coordinate, like, you know, some of their pushing lanes and do something proactive. And if they can do that and they can get the first Herald, they can look at like a 23-minute dragon stack with like a 4 or 5k gold lead, and it should look pretty good for them. So it is a little bit harder for red side, but they, with good planning, like, they can do it.
Yeah, I would also say mid prio is going to be super important in this game. I think both are going to just contest early for it, because Lee Sin, I think if you're playing as him this game, you're like, I want to interact with Karthus within the first 4 levels, right? Like, if you ever find an opportunity, just like try and take camps away from him. If you're able to deny Scuttle, for both Scuttles, especially from Karthus, that's just one really nice way to start out the game, kind of get the early advantage right from the get-go. And so I'm expecting, again, maybe we're going to see not so much the jungle 4v4 fights around Scuttle, but more we're going to be seeing like maybe a 2v2 mid with LeBlanc and Lee Sin. If LeBlanc ever lands that chain, more than likely that Lucian's just going to be dead, right, with the follow-up on Lee Sin, Kyo, Ignite, and all that stuff. So it's really going to boil down for me, early game, it's going to boil down to the mid-prio contest, and if Lee Sin is able to double Scuttle the Karthus.
So real quick, we actually did get a change here. It looks like they have Tryndamere instead of Set. So they opted into the "we will never fight you ever" and we are going to play split push, which I do kind of like the pivot. I do think team fights are going to be very hard, but now they're dealing with a Tryndamere that, quite frankly, might be able to just outclass everyone in the side lane. So it is going to come down to the side lane play from red side now. So it's going to make the mid game a lot more interesting, and they don't have to team fight their way to victory.
100%.
Yeah, that's we didn't get any warning, unfortunately, on that one. That does definitely change the state of what mid game will look like. As Dhokla, you were mentioning, Nova maybe wants to get a little bit of revenge after game number 1, in which he had a winning state. It kind of went away from him, and now it looks like he's poised to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what I expected. When I saw the set, I was like, all right, so you want a team fight, that's more than fine. I mean, on the side of Srtty, he also was doing that. He was like, I'll play for my team, I'm picking Horn, it's fine. But it seems like Dhokla, at the end of the day, he was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm definitely just picking this Tryndamere. I'm going to see you in the side lane, and good luck against me, right? So, it definitely does change, right? There's a lot more win conditions on the red side. I mean, still, you do not want to get to a particular point in this game if you're on red side. Like, there's still a clock that you have to play towards. But the Tryndamere makes this way more exciting, I think, as a viewer, for sure.
All right, well, with that now on the table, we are getting ready for entry into game number 2. Reminder that Team Srtty on the blue side this game is leading this block of 3, 1-0. It will be incumbent upon Team Dhokla to try to strike back, so stick around for that game 2 right after this spectator delay.
And welcome back to the Amateur Arena presented by AOE as we are jumping into Game 2 of this series between Dhokla's Demons on the red side and the Srtty squad on the blue side. RMC, how are you doing as we're jumping into Game 2?
I'm doing good, and I'm still laughing at J. Trevor from why you picked these names here. The fact that 30 squads had to squad up last game, and this
They
game,
squatted up.
they're gonna do the same. This is a team fighting composition. We heard it on the desk. Yes, they're gonna struggle early, but come the mid to late game, they just squad up, and well, Dhokla's Demons are gonna have to struggle. And rather than Dhokla's Demon, I think Dhokla has to be the demon in this game here, because that Tryndamere, if you don't have an early lead, everything falls onto Dhokla now to carry. And I love seeing it. Both teams are drafting differently. We get to see different styles from different players, and Dhokla gets a chance at redemption here. Last game, the carry didn't quite work. This time, with the Tryndamere into Ornn matchup, I feel like he's in a much better position this time to try and carry.
Yeah, definitely gonna have a little bit more pressure and priority on that top side as opposed to, last game we go for that counter pick Fiora, doesn't quite work out on the bad end of a couple of ganks, as now we're seeing same side start out of these junglers, which I think is really gonna impact, especially this Karthus as he paths towards the bot side and could put him in an awkward spot if Winston at any point tries to invade, tries to pressure out this very, very farm heavy jungler.
Okay, really interesting starts as well there. DuoKing actually faking, I think, a bit of a leash there. He just was in the jungle, but there was a ward, so they know exactly where LeenK started. And I'm actually a little bit surprised that Sketchdreams and Winter didn't try and punish a little bit harder when Blueskies was kind of alone a little bit already. Engages coming through, though, in Winter.
Oh, already a bit of damage, but it looks like with both supports getting chunked out, that's going to be the end of it. We're already seeing, both of these bot lanes, they still want to fight as, on Srtty's team, complete shift from game 1, very much top side focused. And now going with this Aphelios Leona pickup, that's a hyper carry, setup if I've ever seen one, as Death Sentence lands. DuoKing going low, the Ignite's already popped. Potion popped as well, that Ignite shouldn't kill, but still very close.
Yeah, DuoKing is still going to be forced to play extremely passively, and now Bluesky is going to be the recipient of that. That's the thing with the Misfortune, right? She's such a strong early game AD carry that if you're not picking something that can match, like that Lucian, like that Draven there, it does get very, very difficult, especially when you've got an aggressive support who wants to go for it. You don't get to do that anymore now. LeenK is bot side, but he's kind of low on mana, and I don't think the Karthus gank is going to be particularly strong this early on.
Yeah, the level 4 Karthus gank, it works, but it's a little bit awkward to pull off, especially with Winston waiting in the wings, just looking to try and get this counter gank lined up, as LeenK wants this hitting level 4, and Blueskies is just getting as much chip damage as possible, and it looks like both junglers are just going to back off.
Yeah, I think they saw the ward coming through from Winston there, so they're not feeling so comfortable with trying to pull that off, knowing that the numbers advantage is not on their side. And keep in mind, again, that the squad here don't need to make early game moves. They can take it a bit slower. Dhokla taking a lot of damage, though, in this particular trade, running lethal tempo, so not a ton of sustain coming through from the runes. You're relying very heavily on that Tryndamere Q instead.
Yeah, and sort of the anti-Tryndamere item is already built with that Bramble Vest getting picked up mid lane pre-4 minutes. Srtty's just saying, Dhokla, take a step back. This Tryndamere's not going to be able to do that much yet.
Yeah, and to do that, he started with the cloth armor, right? It was a really good pickup. I love seeing it. It's paying dividends, and now LeenK going to get to sneak into this top lane as well here. Interestingly, a missing ping coming out from Dhokla's Demons. I wonder if they knew that LeenK got in there.
Oh, they might, as Srtty missing the knock-up. Now Dhokla trying to heal up what he can as this massive wave about to crash, and Winston just trying to find something as ward gets dropped by LeenK and Winston gets spotted out. Dhokla is trying to avoid this dive as both of these teams are just trying to deny so much, as Winston wanting to prevent this, CS denial from going down, and Dhokla just trying to find some farm. He's getting chunked out.
Yeah, but that's the thing with that Karthus. He's not your conventional jungler. He's not melee. He doesn't have to dive you. He just popped those Skittles, and right now Dhokla is tasting the rainbow, and I don't think he likes it.
No, not at all, as Dhokla really, really struggling, not quite finding the right flavor. RMC, what's your favorite Skittle flavor, honestly? There's some controversy, I feel, over that topic.
Oh. Honestly, I'm not a huge Skittles guy.
Really? Interesting, but it seems like Srtty isn't having a great time up in the top lane, as TP getting pulled from Strompest. This is going to make things a little bit more complicated as the Lucian jumping forward forces the flash out of Winston. And now just going to be a walk out from Dhokla, but still summoner for summoner trade in the top side.
Yeah, and Strompest burnt his flash as well, going for that particular trade. So we'll have to see if it comes back to bite him. We heard on the AD, Leeson, LeBlanc, you know, that's such a deadly combo. And if Winter starts to roam up as well to help out the mid lane, that's going to be massive. A single hook without that flash available would spell instant death for Strompest there.
It certainly would, as now here's the good team fighting guns with Infernum Gravitum, but with that Lantern to safety, won't mean too much out of this bot side. It looks like just a bit of wave clear really coming through.
Okay, just a bit of poke damage. LeenK was looking top, but I don't think he can find that Tryndamere here. Still has both these summers. Instead, bot side has a down.
And that death sentence going down means death for Blueskies. First blood picked up, and Dhokla's taking full advantage of that level 6 Tryndamere. You hate to see it as that unstoppable rage, or that undying rage, gonna carry him forward to getting a kill. And this early game looking pretty good for the Demons as they're getting that start they really wanted.
Yeah, they do have to back off now in this bot lane. Winter ate a lot of damage, TP from behind.
As now Srtty looking for revenge, trying to pick up some kills onto the bot side. Strompest here as well for the cleanup. Winter already flashed out, and Sketchdreams has escaped. But now Winston trying to stay alive, finds one back, as now APA on the board.
I think Team Srtty going to be happy with that one there. They're okay with it. They did manage to take down Winston as well, so no threat of losing the dragon. The issue is that Srtty had to burn teleport to get down there. And when you teleport away from that Tryndamere, Dhokla gets a ton of free pushing, free farm. LeenK able to pick that up and actually hit level 6. So it's not the worst situation. And now that Requiem is online, that changes the dynamic of the game. Team Dhokla, Dhokla's Demons have to watch out now. They can't die with impunity anymore. If you're low on health, you're as good as dead.
Yeah, absolutely. As now, you know, you brought up how LeenK just hit level 6. Well, Winston was sitting on level 4 until he picked up that last big Krug. So he is looking a little worse for wear in the CS department.
Yeah, trying to make those early plays did cost him a little bit there. And granted, he can afford it still. The Leeson is still stronger at dueling even after Karthus picks up 6. That's not necessarily a huge fighting team or single 1v1 style ultimate there. That's more for team white, picking up stragglers, reinforcing the rest of your team. So Team Dhokla still in a decent position here, but I've got to respect that Srtty squad right now, despite going down in kills, managed to continue maintaining their gold standards here. They're not falling too far behind. They're scaling up, and they will become a bigger and bigger problem.
Yeah, definitely, as these picks really do spike pretty early. At least the Lucian does, but now Dhokla getting caught out potentially, as it looks like LeenK just wants to get this Herald as they've brought DuoKing up for it. Now it's just a matter of getting Dhokla out of that lane, as it's already up to level 8 compared to Srtty's level 6.
Yeah, even after that roam down, Srtty has taken a very, very long time to get back in and pick up the CS here. Herald not actually even taken. LeenK hasn't finished it yet.
Wow, I mean, this is taking forever as now Dhokla finally able to contest. Smite goes down, so it works out for them, but now APA in an awkward spot as here comes the Requiem. That's going to be at least 1 kill confirmed, but it's traded back by Winston. As now we've got action in the bot side, though Chakrams going crazy as the Zenith Blade cleans up the kill, and now Winter is off the map as the squad is striking back.
Really well played from LeenK there. I was getting worried that the Herald took so long, flashing as well, but he did secure the smite, and he bought so much time there for his mid laner, for Strompest to win that 1v1 and start roaming up to help him push Dhokla off as well. One thing about the Requiem, you can't deceive it. Like LeBlanc, you can distort all you want. It's always going to hit the right one there. And so, like we said, you got to be careful. You can't make those, risky plays and expect to get out. At best, you trade 1 for 1, and that didn't happen in that case.
Absolutely, as now LeenK is just playing, objective, looking for this first Drake of the game, and it looks like it'll just get handed over as APA and Winter want to do something, but now might just be caught without a team as Winston on the backside trying to keep Winter alive. Somehow it makes it happen, and now on the backside, Sketchdreams finding the first kill. Blueskies going down. Winter's still alive. Now DuoKing looking to be the next one to go down as it's absolute insanity, and the Demons are looking immortal. At least Winter is.
Winter was playing bullet hell on Nightmare mode there. The Skittles were still raining down from LeenK, and I cannot believe he survived. The worries we were having have all been answered here. Dhokla Demons finding all those kills now puts them in the position where they needed to be the lead that they are looking for. Unfortunately, though, the kills didn't go over to APA, which is sort of the ideal target there when he's the one able to move around the most and have the highest kill threat. But having them on Winston isn't a bad thing, especially if you can get those ganks off. And for Sketchdreams as well, while he might not have the setup to get perfect bullet times, enough damage will cover that. If you've got enough damage, even hitting half that bullet time can turn fights on all these squishy members here.
Yeah, as Dhokla is just continuing to be, you know, that Tryndamere in the top lane, pushing wave after wave and making sure that Srtty is just pushed under constantly. And now you bring up how we're seeing these mythics come online, and Sketchdreams with that Kraken going to be pumping out a lot of damage. And I like you brought up how it doesn't you're not relying on that perfect bullet time. Like if you do go for the Eclipse Youmuu's collector build, where it is all about the bullet time and shredding an entire team, where here it's a lot more variable.
Yeah, auto attacks will do the job just as well here. And Misfortune, you know, with those impure shots, certainly can move around very quickly as well. The movement speed buff, the potential collapse onto this bot lane here, but they don't know LeenK is already here.
Oh, they don't realize, as now actually forced to cleanse. Now this is a bit of a scattered fight. Lantern used to take over to get to the rest of the team. Winter somehow still alive, and here comes the bullet time, takes down DuoKing. And now the response is the culling, but already a 3v4. I don't know if you want this for Srtty's squad, as now Blueskies trying to stay alive, swapping guns, now Gravitum Chakram, as APA's Ghost wanders forward, and that looks like it'll be it, but Herald still going down means there'll be some gold picked up as topside. Srtty doing what he can against Dhokla, but just trying to find the plate, and will back off, as that's a very, very interesting fight we just saw.
Yeah, and it's not done yet. Winston's actually still hunting for Strompest in the jungle here. I don't know if you want to do that. DuoKing is back up already, and the ward will catch LeenK.
Oh, and LeenK getting burnt down so quickly, but you've got to remember, those Skittles are still popping, as now the MF's already gone. Requiem can't quite kill Winston unless it's turned. It will! The Leona Ignite just enough for DuoKing to exact some revenge. Beautiful play to buffer out the Zenith Blade, and Winter will survive somehow, but the rest of his squad on the bot side won't.
Winter somehow just always being that last lone survivor of all these scraps here topside. They're going back and forth, but Undying Rage is available, and for Srtty, he's always got to have it in the back of his mind that he doesn't have a ton of regen here. Warden's Mill, Bramble Vest, Balmy Cinder, Cloth Armor, none of that grants you regen, and so Srtty in these extended trades will be losing out.
Yes, definitely will be over time, as now also going for that Kraken Slayer Tryndamere on the top side, really looking to win this 1v1, just chunk through and burn out this Ornn as fast as possible. But in the bot side, first tower, complete first tower gold, going over to Blueskies on the Cephalios.
Yeah, and that was off the Herald drop there. They already knew that they won that fight. And oh, Winston.
Wow.
Okay.
Winston jumping forward and forcing LeenK to flash. Not sure if he really needed that, but still, there's just so much pressure out of Dhokla's Demons in this, you know, blue side, or in this blue side of the map, I guess, is you just can't move if you're LeenK.
Yeah, and it feels like we've seen this before, J-Turbo. Back in game one, it was Dhokla's Demons getting the early lead. Remember their dive into the bot lane, everything looked so well orchestrated, and then Srtty squad just squatted up, and I'm expecting to see them do it again this time. You know, yes, it's a bit rough right now, but once they start to group up here, then they can start to force the plays. They're hitting that point. The Mythics are largely going to start coming through on the Nyx backs here, and that's when I think they look to group that level, you know, level 11, level 12 mark as well here.
Yeah, that's really when your carries start to spike, as Srtty foresees the ulti just to at least clear that wave. Maybe looking for a little bit of pressure onto Dhokla, but will just regen right on up. Some notable pickups across the map. Leandries, of course, for the Karthus. Immortal Shield Bow for Blueskies. And that's really going to improve the survivability and a lot of carry potential for these upcoming fights when Srtty's team eventually squads up.
And I suspect we'll see a the Immortal Shield Bow as well coming through from Strompest, as he already has a Vamp Scepter in inventory. It tells me that they're looking for survivability here.
Oh, but LeenK not surviving for much longer as the bullet time death sentence true combo, but Winter finally taken down. You can't dodge a Requiem as a 1-for-1 out of what looked like a very, very clean pick.
And that's gonna be able to stifle Dhokla Demon's threat onto the dragon there. They were set up for it. Dhokla actually gonna run deep into enemy territory here. But again, Flash and Ghost are available. I don't think I've seen him use it pretty much all game here. And as long as he has that up, it's hard to believe that he's gonna drop.
It is, yeah, tough to believe that he will drop as he's deep in enemy territory, pops that Undying Rage, but now just sort of left in a really tough spot. The culling not quite catching the last little bit as he is running away in the background. Winston able to pick up the dragon, does get clipped by the Ardent Blaze, but not quite enough. He's still alive, but the Solar Flare will clean up the kill. DuoKing adding another kill into his stat line. So now Strompest looking for Winston, but is just gonna jump away. But what a wild goose chase we just saw.
I mean, I can't even call that a cast. Like, he went into that there, and he was buying so much time pressure. Yes, he pulls everybody away, but in the grand scheme of things, is it worth it? Probably not. Ideally, you want your Tryndamere to farm, and really, when you're going in like that, what did you expect to find? Just keep running away. Ornn wouldn't have reached you otherwise. That said, Dhokla Demons did pick up the dragon. In the meantime, here it is, their first dragon of the game, Mountain, and that sets us up for this Ocean Soul.
Does set us up for the Ocean Soul, but with each team having one drag apiece, it is going to take quite a while for that to really become, I think, a relevant win condition. So, ooh, double control word placed. That feels bad. As now it looks like the next objective is going to be this Herald. LeenK sees an objective, plays towards it.
And he's been so good at getting everything. He's gotten all the objectives except for that last Drake there, where they were trying to chase down Dhokla. And this might be critical for the side of Srtty's squad here, because picking up these objectives for this team fight oriented team, especially one as squishy as they are, trying to set up. Oh, hold up. Oh, okay, insta cleanse, really great there.
Yeah.
But going back to that, trying to get the soul is going to be important when your team's this squishy. The regeneration does become quite important to sustain.
It certainly does, especially when you're up against this composition that does like to try and burst you down. As now Dhokla just getting sort of slapped around under tower won't mean much, as there's really no kill pressure from Srtty, or Srtty, not Srtty, on this Ornn. But now it's just a matter of, finding, I think, that first explosive team fight, as we've had these skirmishes go back and forth, but no decisive moments yet.
And for that, I feel like that's up to Srtty's squad to look for that initial big fight here. The Demons don't care. The Dhokla Demons don't want to necessarily team fight. We've seen that bullet time be used more as a deterrent than as an actual team fight tool in a lot of these fights, right? When you find a single target, make sure nobody else wants to come into there. Defend that mid lane turret, drop bullet time, clear that wave here. And they're doing this because they know Dhokla is putting down the pressure. Dhokla is just hitting those turrets, and for Srtty right now, sure, you've got healing cut, but it relies on Dhokla auto-attacking you. If he doesn't and he just hits only the turret, then he doesn't get the healing reduction.
And I mean, we're even seeing that it doesn't impact much if you're away from that tower, as Srtty just jumping away, doesn't want to get chunked out, as still not very much regen onto the Ornn. Same as in the early game. And now APA also, split pushing on the opposite side, as this team just does not want to fight, at least quite yet. Maybe they're looking for some bonus damage on the LeBlanc, or just for Dhokla to have that much more impact, because there's still all of the tier 1s up on the map.
Yeah, for the side of Team Srtty,
for the side of
all of theirs are still
Dhokla,
up. Yeah.
Yes, because there is that one bot tower that has gone down.
They kind of know the Dhokla set them up pretty well to be taken.
Yeah, but it looks like we've got a skirmish in the mid lane. Winston stepping too far forward, and that Requiem's surely going to be the end of him, as now Sketchdreams trying to flash away, but that misfortune might be fast, but not fast enough for DuoKing, who's got more kills than his ADC. And now Winter once again landing a death sentence, and Blueskies going very low from APA. So now here comes Dhokla, trying to find something, but now with your ADC already off the map, it's just a matter of when DuoKing's going to jump on forward. Dhokla dashing away, Winter staying alive, and APA just waiting on those cooldowns. Really great skirmish once again out of Srtty's squad.
But Srtty's squad isn't able to pick up the turret. They barely got any chip damage down, and while the kills are nice. They do need to find objectives to be able to make plays here.
Oh, here goes Dhokla. And he was really in and out of that incredibly quickly as Blueskies life stealing up and will just spin to win away.
Dhokla is being obnoxious. And that's exactly what you want to see when you put somebody on a trigger. Look at it. That's the second time he's interrupting the backs. And this time, he's got backup. They're buying time. 20 seconds till that Ocean Drake spawns here. By now, it's already too late. Srtty squad will not reach that objective on time. At best, maybe they can find some exit kills.
Yeah, as do you have a pause actually coming through? Not completely sure exactly what the cause is, but you mentioned how impactful those, double backstops were. Is initially, it was a really nice timer. You'd get back to drag with plenty of time to set up, plenty of time to contest, but now it's all going to be a matter of, so long as Dhokla and his whole team can get there, they will shred through this dragon. Double Kraken Slayer, and this Lee Sin already, it's going to go by in a flash.
Exactly. I mean, well, damage was never the question for Dhokla's demons here. It was always just, how are you going to survive the team fight? So against a single target like Dragon here, they'll just absolutely rip right through it. And unfortunately for Srtty squad, there's literally nothing for them to answer anywhere else on the map here. So I almost feel like at this point, just give that up. If anything, you start setting up for that top side play a little bit earlier, since once the Dragon goes down, there's nothing else for them to look for on that bot side of the map. And for Team Dhokla here, they're still in a pretty good position. We've not touched too much on APA, but his LeBlanc, we saw how much burst he can put down on Strompest, on Blueskies, on these squishier members of the side of Srtty squad. And that's, I think, a large reason why we're not seeing Srtty squad be more aggressive. They can't afford to split up, so they keep having to play around DuoKing, clumping up, and that's inhibiting their ability to try and make these catches, make these plays.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And, looking at the itemization for Srtty squad, there's next to no, if not any, magic resistance picked up. Just the passive on the Frostfire and the Locket, as it's all really being itemized towards Dhokla. You want this Tryndamere to be shut down with that double-plated Steel Cap pickup, but it means that now APA is going to have a lot more room to work with, a lot more room to get to this backline.
Yeah, and aside from that Leona point-and-click stun, you don't really have another thing to try and lock APA down. So eyes on APA. Should we get a big fight, it's going to be Dhokla trying to run amok and then APA trying to clean up on the backline. I believe we're just having a bit of a glitch, after that pause. It does happen from time to time, giving us more time to talk about things here. Nope, there we go. Just needed to cast a curse at once. Dragon up in 5 seconds here. Team Srtty, Srtty squad, again, they are late to the party here, which is unfortunate, because I would have liked to see them look for that big 5v5 team fight, and so far they haven't been able to bring Dhokla's demons to bear.
Yeah, so would I, but it looks like maybe just too much respect being paid, as now APA did wind up disconnecting, so we're back to the pause. But I was going to mention how, there's no misfortune down for this Dragon. It seems like they're just trying to let Tryndamere and Lee Sin do it on their own, but I'm afraid that maybe it doesn't go through fast enough with, LeenK and Blueskies being on the map, with Srtty being nearby this Dragon Pit. I think it might be doable if they're fast enough.
Yeah, they might be able to try and interrupt the thing. To remember, again, Undying Rage is up, so you can't actually stop Dhokla from auto-attacking it. And Lee Sin, of course, very strong with that Resonating Strike and Smite combo to try and execute down the objectives as quick as possible. LeenK, on the other hand, you're a Karthus. You're going to take forever to get there. So I think the call is not wrong, and it's also it's a right call. And I think Dhokla's demons as well, they see the map movements. They know that not all that Team Srtty has semi-abandoned this, right? Blueskies is not moving towards that Dragon. Strompest is not moving to that Dragon. So they're not expecting the fight. They want to be able to match and make sure that they don't lose anything else while trying to take this Dragon.
Yeah, that's true. Moving your Misfortune and Thresh up means they can't really go for Baron. Gives you space to shore up your tier 2 mid and even rotate up towards that top lane if you really need it, as APA does have teleport available, so can cross map if needed. So plenty of options for both of these teams, as it really does feel like it's just going to take one breakout fight for this game to tip either way, with only a 1k gold lead towards Team Srtty.
Yeah, and Srtty squad, they've done a great job, finding kills, a lot of it on LeenK as well. It's one of the nice things about Karthus. It's not a waste when the kills go over to Karthus. He scales amazingly well, and like we said, all that plated Steel Cap trying to deal with Dhokla here, APA has a fun time, but the inverse is true as well, where Dhokla's Demons here, they're probably not going to build a ton of magic resistance because there's really only LeenK, whereas you've got Strompest, Blueskies, both of them AD carry threats coming through, physical damage threats coming through. So that should allow LeenK to have a lot more impact in some of these later fights.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And I mean, you brought up how, Karthus picking up kills even when you go down can be so, so good. I remember there was one game I cast where Karthus got fed and just became a walking nuke where you're taking down, 60, 70% of the other team's HP is, that pillar getting a little too close for comfort, as it looks like we are running into another spectator client bug. Just natural, here in the day in the life of a remote caster.
Righto, please. Fix your client, both your launching client and your spec client. Yeah, and I think that was Winston just getting a little greedy, not wanting to use that smite because he didn't have to. They have vision on LeenK on that control ward, so he's like, I got this. And you know what? Fair enough. It's greed if it doesn't work out, but I do think he has the reaction time that if he sees that pillar and thinks it's going to take it, just press smite.
Very true, as saw some back started, and here the snap Baron call as APA stuck in the bot side. And now looks like up in the top side towards this Baron, that chunk out onto Srtty is going to make life a lot more difficult, but here comes the engage. Winter the first one to go down, but here comes the bullet time, zoning out all of the damage, but Strompest still getting the first kill, though Dhokla able to trade right on back, and here comes the Requiem. Looks like that's going to be Sketchdreams off the map, and now with APA TPing forward, it's a 3v3 for now, but here comes Srtty in the mid lane, ready to make this a little bit more awkward as they're finally squatting up, but they're just running away, and Dhokla's Demons can't fight for long as, a beautiful distortion away by APA and those chains to keep him locked up.
And yes, I know Srtty squad just won that fight, but I want to sing the praises of Dhokla's Demons here because they were the ones to lose 2 members there. And despite losing the 2 members, they actually nullify anything Srtty squad can do. They didn't get Baron. They're not going to get turrets. And like I said, kills are nice, but it's about the objectives. Is what else can you do on the back of these plays? If anything, Dhokla is going to be able to find a turret for himself down here and put, not put them in the lead, but at least put them within only a 1k distance here of Srtty squad's advantage.
Yeah, and keeping yourself within, striking distance is what it's really all about as you're reaching this later stage, as this Karthus and Aphelios continue to scale, because, I mean, those are 2 of the scariest late game champs that exist in this game, but they can still get shredded down by 1 good bullet time, by 1 good LeBlanc combo. And so it means that there's always this room to, just fight back, even if this Karthus gets out of control, even if the Aphelios goes crazy.
Yeah, and despite, the fact that all this threat exists, it's not there yet. So, hey, that timer we were talking about, we're at 23 minutes right now. We didn't get a hard time from the analyst desk, but I'm going to put a hard time on this. 35 minutes. If Dhokla's Demons are not putting themselves in a position to win by 35 minutes here, they are really going to struggle. Dhokla, keep in mind, doesn't have teleport. So while he is an absolute split push menace, you just need to slow him down. You don't actually need to necessarily out and out kill him. Just stop him from getting to taking turrets down as quickly, and then try and outspeed him, base race him if you have to. 5 people will be faster than 1.
Very true, as always. And then it also is a matter of the rest of the team being able to fight without Dhokla if he is on the side lane, being able to space out well and not get picked off. As one thing that matters, though, is it feels like Srtty is always being sent to respond to Dhokla in this bot side, meaning the team fight is just that much weaker for the rest of the team.
Yeah, but DuoKing's been doing a great job so far with a lot of these initiates, and the question is, who else can deal with Dhokla?
And now Dhokla jumping forward, and that sentence comes down. Blueskies flayed forward, and that's going to be his death, as Dhokla might be going down, but barely kept alive. And now that's finally 2 kills going down, and looks like LeenK is the next one on the chopping block.
Okay.
We're coming out, but a beautiful Ornhorn to keep it going. There's the Requiem. And actually, Dhokla survives going back, and the only one to go down is Winston. Finally, convincing fight over to the side of Dhokla's Demons.
Yeah, it's another one of those situations. The junglers keep going down. Baron's still on the table, and now Dhokla's Demons wins the fight. They can't push either right now. The Waves aren't in position. They already took all the outer turrets here, and it's just a lot of back and forth trading. But goes back a little bit, J-Turbo, to what I'm saying about who are you sending to deal with Dhokla? Because keep in mind how that fight started. It was Dhokla aggressing on Blueskies and DuoKing under a turret. And if you're not Srtty, he can dive you Undying Rage will allow him to chase you down, and Strompest, Blueskies don't have a ton of hard CC or even really soft CC in their kit. Aphelios has Gravitum, but if you don't have Gravitum and Dhokla sees you, you're dead.
Yeah, that's very true. It's really terrifying when you just see a Tryndamere with ulti, Ghost, look you dead in the eyes, and you're like, I'm dead. That's it. I'm going to get gray screened. As that's, the omnipresent threat for the side of Srtty squad is, if your carries are just a little bit too far forward, if there's not the right cooldowns to CC down this Tryndamere, you lose the fight because you just run out of damage. Although I guess they do still have, that back pocket with the sort of rebirth out of the Karthus.
Zombie mode. He doesn't come. He's just gonna pop away, and Tryndamere can just leave if he wants to.
Oh my, is Srtty getting forced to flash away, and Dhokla's been getting so many resources this game. 263 CS now, as Dragon is spawning. Dhokla's pressuring the mid lane. Now it's gonna be a matter of who can find this one, as it's burning down low and goes for the steal, but not quite fast enough. LeenK picks up the Dragon, but who gets the fight? Bullet time gets popped, but no one goes down. Cleanse used away from that solar flare, and everyone's still alive. APA finding one, Dhokla on the side finding another, and the Requiem finds nobody as Dhokla's looking for more. LeenK, Strompest, and Blueskies, the three carries, the three squishies on Srtty's squad, finally having to back off, but Baron's up on the map.
I don't know if they can do this. There's still that blue trinket there, which will reveal them here. TP's coming from APA. He's got to provide zone, and LeenK was caught napping. He went bot side.
Oh no, they didn't have the read, and that means that this Baron should be going over to Dhokla's Demons, and might not be 35 minutes, but they're finally making the moves to get themselves ahead in this game.
35 minutes in a winning position. They are currently sitting on a winning position, J-Turbo. 5k up is not necessarily the biggest lead, but they have Baron buff. They can keep pushing. APA top side pushing right now. Dhokla was already unanswerable. His biggest problem was trying to take turrets, having to split attention between Srtty and turrets, but now he doesn't have to. The minions can help him take the turrets as well, and the rest of the team. Winston, Winter, Sketchdreams have done such a great job so far this series, not getting caught, not getting killed when those solar flares are coming down.
Yeah, and I think, really one of the highlights of this game has been Sketchdreams just with perfect cleanses, and oh my, Strompest just deleted as APA is a bit of a problem. Oh my.
Last time we looked at was 1-1-5. He's now 4-1-5. He's got those. He's got Void Staff as well here. And with Baron buff does give you a little bit of AP, a little bit of AD as well. It's not just the minion stat buff. That's the nicest part of it, but it's not the only part of it. And now with that 1-3-1, you don't have an answer to Dhokla and APA as well. Srtty can only stop one of them.
And he's wailing away at Dhokla, but it's just, you can't deal damage to this Tryndamere, and you force LeenK to come by, and now everything else is starting to fall.
Yeah, see, you send an extra body down bot when you've already lost somebody. Mid lane turret is indefensible. Top side, nobody's answered APA, and sure, he's a mage, so he does the least damage when it comes to turret taking, but he still does do a decent amount, and the wave clear is fast. He's getting the minions in very, very quickly.
Yeah, and Dhokla with a little bit of movement going side to side. The classic spin to win is, as you brought up, APA doing so much on this top side. This turret's almost gone. Those cannons should be enough to take it down, and the entire base is crumbling. But the solar flare out to try and defend this tower, but it might just be your death, DuoKing, as Sketchdreams on a killing spree with a flash forward from LeenK, trying to get as much damage as possible. The Moonlight Vigil doesn't hit anyone, and now the stun down onto LeenK goes down next. Dhokla trying to stay alive with this Undying Rage, but might not be enough, and the culling cleans up the kill, but APA still split pushing, picks up an inhibitor.
Always plan ahead there. He knows the team's fighting, and he makes the call. You know what? The goal here isn't to kill people, it's to take the Nexus. I will focus down on the turrets.
And now it looks like Srtty's in a tough spot. No MR means no more life for you, as APA adds another kill. 5-1-6 now, an absolute monster.
Sketchdreams pushing down that bot side as well here, and that's top inhib down, bot inhib turret down, so bot inhib exposed here. And after that whole Baron power play, they pick up another 4,000 gold. They are now 9,500 gold up from Srtty's squad here. And if that isn't enough to win you a team fight, I don't know what will.
I mean, we're seeing them starting to win these fights the second that Dhokla is entering spaces that he can rotate forward, just able to run down that backline. It honestly feels a lot like last game, where, you know, it was Srtty on the Camille, just split pushing to Kingdom Come until finally you get those team fights together, you bring the split pusher up, and they can just ravage through the backline.
Yeah, and keep in mind, the Tryndamere was the R5 pick, right? It was the last thing you see coming through, and I absolutely love the adaptation. It's certainly done its job. We knew it was going to be a menace and a pest, but it's been more than that in this series. It has been the deciding factor pulling people apart. 3-2-3 doesn't look or sound impressive when you compare it to Sketchdreams 9-3-5 or APA's 5-1-6, but the amount of map pressure it's taking down is really solid. And Dhokla Demons, the other thing I appreciate is that in a lot of the other amateur arenas we've been having recently, players have just been out for blood, constantly looking for kills, and it hasn't been clean macro play. This is fairly clean. They are focusing what they need to focus here.
Playing very clean, but might be getting caught out in the jungle. Ornhorn gets popped looking for Winston, but not able to find much. But now the base, it's getting demolished by Dhokla. He's looking for more and trying to find that inhib. Gets slowed down by the Wall of Pain. Pops the Ghost, does still have access to the Undying Rage, and it's going to be a matter of when can the rest of the Demon squad up against Srtty, as now still alive, doing as much as he can, but that Solar Flare's massive, takes down Dhokla. Looks like he'll be going down. Sketchdreams is down next, and that's big. Here comes the Requiem. Dhokla not long for this world, barely stays alive from that Lantern from Winter, as somehow Srtty squad stems the bleeding.
The hook from Winter landing onto LeenK. LeenK was just like, okay, thanks guys, that's the initiative I was looking for. They're trying to stop the dragon here.
Still able to find it, and at least on the back end, these demons are finding something and stealing it away, but it's just so tight, as if you find one bad fight, this team fighting squad out of that Srtty's put together, so good.
Yeah, and for Dhokla's Demons, you don't want to group up. A lot of that happened because, unfortunately, Dhokla ended up going to that bot lane here. He's okay.
No.
Dead. No Undying Rage. Strompest is an issue. And Winston can't look for this. They're TPing. They don't know that LeenK is waiting in the wings as well.
Oh no, and now Winston caught between a rock and a hard place. Is that Gordringer going to keep alive for a bit? Actually, Ornhorn gets popped. Might be able to escape as APA does get tagged. But that's going to be it. Able to walk out, and that is a lot of cooldowns burned.
A teleport being expended from APA to try and get there in time to bail them out. And you look at Strompest, you look at LeenK, what did they expend? Absolutely nothing. Maybe a culling, and that's about it there. The cooldown on that is so short. Team Srtty, let's go back to that. Srtty squad won the last fight. You can see if they can force Dhokla's Demons to group up, they can win those, and it's only going to get better, but they still need to get them to group up. And with Dragon down, with only Baron being the only available sort of neutral objective to force here, Srtty squad needs to start getting the vision onto that, and they need to continue clearing this top side till the inhib comes back up.
Yeah, and the trouble is this top inhib is just applying so much pressure. APA still in the bot side, keeping this push going, so now Srtty is forced to respond. And I believe Srtty TP'd to that play as well, making it a bit more costly for that team. As now with Sketchdreams up, they're just raw starting this Baron. They've got vision on the other team, and this is pretty free.
Yep, that is the advantage they got from earlier. The way they played, the pressure they put down is securing them this Baron. It's going to keep them in the game longer here, APA.
Oh, and LeenK forced to go golden, as APA would have surely one-shot him, and that could have been enough to try and look towards the game-ending push, as we are getting closer to that 35-minute mark, and Dhokla's Demons are looking in a pretty commanding presence so long as they don't let themselves get team fought to oblivion.
And I don't think they will this time. We see Dhokla on that bot side. You can just go for the 4-1. Leave Dhokla trying to take that exposed bot lane inhibitor there. Everybody else group up into the mid lane. As long as you can pull Srtty away, APA can blow anybody else up.
Yeah, absolutely, is already chunking out Srtty. And I mean, that's your big tank, and is getting completely chunked out by the LeBlanc, as this one sort of 3-1 with Winston hovering between the top and mid lanes, working very well, but it's going to be a matter of how do they take down these towers.
I don't know if it's a spec bug, but I'm only seeing one the masterwork item right now. It's only on Srtty here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe just hasn't had the space to put those ornaments down, but now Dhokla looking for a kill onto the Ornn, but with that Wall of Pain coming out, forced to retreat and back off. from all that damage LeenK represents. Bluesky hit with the Sonic Wave, and the Insect actually comes down as DuoKing went for the engage, but it seems like they're on the wrong end of it. Blueskies going down, DuoKing already gone, but now Sketchdreams trying to do what he can, but that GA is massive. Winston forced away, and with Dhokla and Sketchdreams down, this is a one fight for the side of the Srtty squad.
Yeah, we'll count this a win. It is a good defense. They only lost one as well, and their top inhib just came back up. So all of Dhokla's hard work in the bot side just got nullified, and Team Srtty, they're back in the same position where they were before. One side exposed, the other not. And Srtty squad, they continue to scale up. We're at that 35-minute mark right now, and that 7,000 gold lead doesn't feel like it matters too much.
Not too much, but Strompest just getting shut down as APA equalizes the kills. And now with, minute-long death timers, that's a pretty big window to work with this Ocean Soul coming up at just the same time.
Dhokla's demons, their advantage that they got, it's... I said it paid off at the Baron. It might pay off yet again at the Soul, as you're calling out there. And Srtty's squad here, that's a potential place you can look to fight. Your top inhib is back up, so you don't have to worry about super minions. You can push out from that bot lane, clear those supers, and then try and fight bottom up here. If you lose that Soul, it's not BOE game ending, though. Srtty squad is okay with that. The fights haven't been particularly drawn out. They've been short and they've been brutal. The biggest concern is that it might mess up the Requiem damage number calculation. But at this point, with the Void Staff, with Leandries, with Morelos to come through, I think you've got enough damage that it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, that Oblivion Orb should go quite a long way, as Winston just trying to find the right target, and here comes the teleport from Srtty, forcing Dhokla to move away. And actually, that was Strompest who teleported forward, so now this is set to be a 5v5, but instead it looks like AP and Dhokla are actually just looking for the base, and they're still getting the dragon. Ocean Soul already over to the demons, and Dhokla's looking for more. AP and him have the wave. They're trying to make the base race as the rest of the team walks forward. This is insanity. They've got them all. They're going for the Nexus. They're gonna find it. No way. They get the dragon. They're looking for the Nexus, and with the undying rage, they're gonna find the game, even up the score, and Dhokla's demons snatch away victory.
JJ, I'm getting flashbacks to the Proving Ground circuit here. Because backdoors from Wildcard Red were bread and butter. It felt like every tournament they pulled it off once. Granted, it was usually Bradley, but Winston, Dhokla, they are no strangers to it, and I am so glad for Dhokla. After game one, he probably didn't feel good, right? You got the counter pick, it didn't work out. This time on the Tryndamere, he is the deciding factor. Him and APA get in there, end the game, and I know it's not a best of 3, but we can treat it as one, because the scoreline is 1-1.
It's 1-1, as what an explosive finish to such a back and forth game. DJ and the analyst desk, take it away to break down what we just watched.
Welcome back to the analyst desk, once again joined by ThinkCard and Nova, and we do see the series get leveled up, gentlemen, and a large part of that comes, of course, through Dhokla, who did go this more carry style in favor over the set that we thought it was going to be, and this time around, it pays off.
Yeah, I'm super glad he changed his pick from set to Tryndamere. If he locks in set, it's more team fight, but the trend, like, we saw how much pressure he applied mid-game. He was able to push out bot lane, force the Ornn undeterred, and kind of hover up to the team. And it kind of made the other team kind of freeze up and lock down. And then they're able to get these roams. They end up getting a few picks. And then after a certain point, they're able to, keep pressuring the side, and they end up getting a Nash off of it. So Dhokla, huge game from him. He did get the counter pick, and he was able to knock down a few turrets. And they did a really good job using his pressure to make sure that the teamfight comp of the Karthus and Ornn couldn't get their angles. And that's not an easy thing to do, so it was really good to see.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's exactly what we said was going to happen. He was like, all right, I know game one you gave me counter pick, give it to me a second time, ban Camille, things will be different, right? And so saving that counter pick for 5, I think really paid off, right? Definitely agree that changing it from a set to a Tryndamere gave them really the condition that they had to win the game. When you're answering a Tryndamere into an Ornn, Ornn is not able to do anything with you. You can get as many resources if you want. Just take my tower right in front of me. It's fine. And that's just what ended up happening. Tryndamere was up at 100 CS at one point, and not to even mention the turrets that he got solo. So yeah, really good stuff from Dhokla.
Yeah, now we definitely saw the better parts of the composition as the game wore off. We saw We saw Dhokla really carry the team, but it was certainly not all perfect for blue side for red side in that game. They had a very nice early game, but that scaling that we talked about did come online to a certain degree in the mid game, outside of maybe a couple item selections.
Yeah, it was really strange to see the Black Cleaver on Lucian coming through. I don't think I've seen that in a very long time. So not too sure what was happening there. But maybe just new technology, new hidden tech that's going to come out. But I'm going to vote and say probably not. What I do want to touch on real quick though is I do think that MF Thresh used their pressure really well. They were able to move around the map and kind of make sure that Winter was able to get to situations first and kind of make sure that nothing too iffy was happening around the Tryndamere lane when they were positioning to dive him. And then besides that, they got the double scuttle onto Winston. Like they hit that condition. They were able to stop the dive onto the Tryndamere. But going back to Srtty Strompest's team, I thought that LeenK did a fantastic job on Karthus. He gave away the double scuttle, still was able to get first Herald, was able to get the first Dragon. They did overextend right after that, giving away a few kills, but they hit their point early game too. And so it was good to see how these comps kind of came together mid game and just matched up against each other.
100%. Yeah, I think mentioning the Black Cleaver is pretty important. And then also, I think if we're talking about items, like I think for Karthus at one point of the game, he was building like two different components of two different items. And I think we saw that happen, like where his ultimate was just like barely off from killing people. And if he had really just focused on just building one item in particular, he would have had enough damage, in my opinion, in order to actually do something. I would have also questioned the Zhonya's pick, but obviously I think it's just playstyle at the end of the day. Talking about the double scuttle early though, definitely it was in the condition of Lee Sin, right? He ended up getting both scuttles, denied it from Karthus. I think right after that, towards the top side, I think both junglers just ended up wasting a little bit too much of their own time. Probably something that hopefully the coaches look over with them going into game 3. We can kind of fix that up a little bit. But other than that, I think still both teams, like in red side at one point, they were still very much down against an Aphelios Karthus Ornn, right? That never feels good. But again, we talked about mentals going into game 1. Mentals going into game 2, it still looks really good, right? You're up against a force like that, and you're still able to find opportunities to get ahead. You're still able to find opportunities to get back in the game. So 100% shout out to both teams, most definitely.
Yeah, some nice play coming out from both of the squads. Now, you mentioned, Nova, maybe a couple changes that need to happen. So this is our final game of the series, right? We've seen one team win a game apiece now. This is the decider. What are you hoping to see from these teams, whether stylistically in draft, maybe in game, to wrap out the night?
Yeah, I'm assuming that top lane is just going to be like the main point of every draft, right? I think if they're going to look for a Camille first pick, it's going to happen on blue side. And if that's not going to happen, they're going to try and take a fairly good flex pick in the mid or top, or just a good top blind early, because the enemy team is just going to save red 5 for top lane, right? Like Srtty's going to be calling for it. So I would definitely say go ahead, and if you're a red side, go ahead and keep the Camille ban. If you are on both teams, go ahead and just ban Twisted Fate, one of you. Like it's really hard to play against in these small little in-houses where like you don't have a lot of experience together as a team. So that would be my recommendation.
Card, anything from your end that you see that should be, or you would hope to see maybe in this game 3?
I thought bot lane's been evolving a little bit as the games go on. So they went for the MF Thresh into Aphelios. I thought the Leona, while it is like super good in skirmishes, it didn't really help the Aphelios scale at all. So maybe bot lane they switch it up a little bit and just try to make sure they can get prio. They can either take away the Thresh or pick something that is going to give them prio, such as Lucian Nami, which they had the option to do. So maybe they pick more aggressive ball lanes to make sure that they can, hit the item spikes and affect the map. But besides that, yeah, it's just going to be, if Srtty isn't 5-pick top this game, then I don't know what's going to happen. So pretty sure they're just going to 5-pick top, and Dhokla's got to figure out what he needs to blind. I'm expecting Camille to be gone, and he's just going to be blinding his Jace.
All right, and actually, I think we are getting an R in chat from one of the teams. We'll wait here for a minute and hear from production whether the players are ready. If they are not, we'll throw it to a short break before we go to game 3. But as you guys are mentioning, it's been a lot about that top side. You're expecting it to continue to be about the top side. You don't think I have these guys? I mean, we saw an Ornn come out last game. Nobody's willing to play for the team in game 3.
He did not lock in that Ornn. His teammate locked in that Ornn for him.
Yeah, I did end up talking to Argentum Sky because I was like, there's no way that Orin was Srtty's pick. And I was, yeah, it definitely was confirmed on that note for sure.
All right, so it's got to be about the top side then. So slight adjustments for the bot side of Team Strompest over now on the red side. Again, just get a little bit more prio and maybe affect that top matchup. But it has largely been a big part of this Dhokla Winston up against LeenK Srtty. So we'll be excited to see which one of these sides can come out ahead in the final game. I am hearing from production that we are not quite ready, so we will throw it to a very short break, but should not be any more than a couple of minutes, and we will have you into the draft for Game 3. So stick around with us here on the Amateur Arena.
Do we fight to hold our heads up high and beat the drums to what we love? Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we defy. A soul ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last line. Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we defy. A soul ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last line. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring
Welcome back, everybody. As promised, not too long of a break. The players are ready. The coaches are ready. It is time to decide our block of 3 tonight on the Amateur Arena. Once again, ThinkCart and Nova to walk us through the draft. And there's that Camille that we were all expecting.
Really interested to see it on the blue side. So Dhokla's just like, I'm not going to first pick it, which I think is pretty interesting. I was more expecting red side to be the one to take it away. One thing that we didn't really get to touch on is definitely the top side blinds. We talked about Jace being a really good blind, which is very possible. One thing that we did leave out of the conversation is Kennen, which I know we were kind of talking about during that break. We might just end up seeing Dhokla play it, especially when you think about he's been working under Bob Jenkins. He was on Team Liquid for a little bit, so we might just see it. I know actually in the first game Kennen was banned 4-5, so maybe we'll see an early Kennen pick, and that might change up how we expect things to go for draft. But
Yeah, I mean, Camille taken off, that Twisted Fate gone, Yuumi gone. Other thing to really touch on, what's happening with the Graves and what's happening with the Lucian.
yep.
And we do still have both those picks available. Lux taken away once again, one more ban each. And I can't imagine both those get taken off the table. They have been mostly by one team tonight. So let's see what Team Dhokla is going to take away. I know you were mentioning, both of you, that if you are going to take that Kennen early, you do always have to be afraid of the Aurelia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just gonna touch on that. Like a lot of Dhokla's picks, he usually doesn't want to play into Aurelia, such as like Jace, Kennen, stuff like that. So Aurelia being open makes it seem like they're just going to hold top lane pick to 4-5, and you're going to just see maybe jungler mid and bot lanes being locked in early. Lucian's still up, so I'm expecting just Lucian to be one picked unless they have really high value on this Graves, which was banned game 2. So it does seem like Graves is probably going to be on the table here, and then we're going to have to see whether the Lucian Nabi on red side is going to be taken away.
All right, well, both are open. There's the Graves, the Aphelios, the final ban on red side, and now they can try to answer this flex from game 1.
Now, blue side definitely has the option of just saying, all right, we're just going to take the Lucian and take the Lee Sin, and we're not going to take the Nami right away, right? That way they can go ahead and leave the Lucian up as a flex, kind of like what they did actually last game too. It's the same team, just swapping sides. So it'll be interesting to see if they just go ahead and slam the Lucian Nami, or if they go ahead and maybe do like a LeBlanc, which is very interesting, but Strompest I know is... Strompest is on this team, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, yeah. Nope. Strompest is very familiar with the LeBlanc, so that doesn't surprise me. Caitlyn, yeah, he'll probably just take that favor. The answer now is, if you're on blue side, you just go ahead and slam the Lucian Nami. Or are you just going to duel it on the ball lane?
Honestly, not too sure here when you do see the Caitlyn, but Lucian, it does do pretty well into the lane. It's obviously very volatile, but you still want to get some range. I expect them to just kind of match this LeBlanc here. But it does get kind of tricky because not picking your duo together against Caitlyn is kind of tough. We do see the Syndra being locked in here, or it's being hovered, I assume probably locked in now. So Syndra is a pretty good pick into the LeBlanc. A lot of people don't like the LeBlanc as a Syndra, but it is a pretty skill matchup. And the Syndra can still technically go bottom. Yep. So it is kind of a little flex that they got going for us here. But it does mean that support is probably going to be taken here unless they just pick AD and show the Syndra mid.
Now, I know in game 1, the first 3 bans had Morgana. I think that they just kind of knew that Caitlyn Morgana could be up on the table. I don't know if they'd want to go ahead and blind it. I think in previous matches, they have actually been comfortable just doing that. Generally, they did at least into like maybe an ADC, having an idea of who the ADC was going to be, or maybe just the support. But on red side, you can also just go ahead and take a jungle that you're comfortable with, knowing that the Lee Sin is going to be your matchup now. I know Zin's out. Okay, Morgana. It looks like they're just more than comfortable just finding the Morgana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Lee Sin Syndra, going to be fantastic duo together. I assume it's just going to be mid, and they're showing like the Graves top. So it's just curious to see what purple is going to pick into this Lee Sin. I want to see like a Xin Zhao ban and other 2v2s that are going to be difficult to deal with. And then you can really make sure that the Lee Sin Syndra are going to win the 2v2. And as long as you can do that, it gets really hard to play Kit Morgana if you don't have control of the river. So I want to see this Lee Sin Syndra kind of push in mid, either get a kill or not, and then get some pick wards in bot river, and then make it so that Kate Morgana can't just hump you under turret. But if Kate Morgana can, and they do get some bot river control, it's gonna get pretty hard. It's a very obnoxious thing to lane into.
Yeah, I'm more than expecting that Zinzao will just be banned on blue side here, though. That is the Hecarim, understandably, but I think Zinzao, you had a high pro in it in terms of bans for the first 3 in the last 2 games. I think definitely you just want to go ahead and take it away. Seems like they're opting to take the Kha'Zix instead away. So expecting jungle pick on 4, more than likely just going to go ahead and take the Zinzao. We'll go ahead and leave top lane counter for Srtty again on 5 is what I'm thinking.
They also got rid of Olaf, which makes Xin Zhao even stronger. And unless they're ready to play something like Trundle, which is decent into the Xin Zhao, it's just not going to be good against LeBlanc at all. So if you lock in Xin Zhao and every team goes Trundle, you don't really have to worry too much.
I mean, this is something I talked about. Absolutely. I mean, Zed, especially when City is playing it, like that. Yeah, he is very comfortable on this pick. It doesn't surprise me that he went ahead and took that away. This is going to be a very fun game to watch, most definitely.
Man,
I mean,
comfort across the board on red side, right? What is the answer to the Zed in the jungle, though?
I'm not sure. I'm also kind of worried about what this 5 pick on red side is going to be because they are so squishy. They're all glass cannons. You have Zed, LeBlanc, which are both assassins. You have a ranged support. It gets really hard to contest for vision. They lock in the Soraka, so that's going to be very interesting to see as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm very, very iffy on what's happening with this top side here for this last pick. You know, you're against Graves this entire draft. They lock in, you know, some pushing bottom. Looks like Sivir Soraka. And yeah, you need a 5 pick that's going to put this comp together. They could go for just like a Jace with pure glass cannon, but still not sure what this answer is going to be.
Kench looks to be
that
the
was
answer.
that was insta locked. That Kench. They
that
did
was
not
real
think
quick,
about
yeah.
it. So I mean that kind of adds to Thinkard's point, right? Like you don't have a lot of tankiness on this red side, right? So in terms of just getting one shot or being able to walk into things, like it would just be so hard if you don't go ahead and round up your comp with a good tanky champion in terms of HP. So Tahm Kench doesn't surprise me. I have seen it picked directly into the Graves as well. I think Tahm Kench actually particularly wins that lane early, but obviously Graves is just a powerhouse if he gets to a certain point in the game as well. So yeah, I think red side, like you mentioned, DJ, it's just comfort. You have Srtty on his Zed, you have the Caitlyn Morgana for DuoKing and Eno, and then obviously LeBlanc for Strompest. So I'm leaning more in terms of favor on red side, but definitely really interesting on the blue side with the Soraka pick.
Yeah, it just comes down to how effective is this Soraka going to be. It is, you know, it could get popped by the LeBlanc. They do have this really annoying combo of LeBlanc Morgana where LeBlanc gets Black Shield and flies in, so the Soraka's silence doesn't even matter. So that is going to be very difficult to deal with. But if the Soraka and Sivir have a ton of prio and can just keep the K Morgana under turret, like they are going to be pretty useless champions. So I think a lot of what's happening this game is actually going to be around the mid and the bot lane. So top lane is going to be a little on the island here, and Tahm Kench is going to be more of a supportive Tahm Kench, keeping the Caitlyn alive later.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we see that Thinkard, right? Because you were right. They saved the R5 pick for Srtty, but this is certainly not what I think we were expecting for this topside matchup or this R5. Instead, it kind of flips the narrative of the series that we've had so far. This is much more going to be about the rest of the team versus what it has been in this sort of top duo throughout the night.
Yeah, for sure. It's this Tahm Kench. I mean, honestly, he might be able to pressure the Graves around like level 5, level 6 around that timer, but eventually the Graves is going to be very useful. And it really comes down to just what's happening with these 4 champions bot side. And it probably is going to be a little bit bloody early. That's what I expect when you run a champion like LeBlanc, Zed, Syndra, Lee Sin. Or you're just going to kind of let the Syndra get pushed, and you can't really let that happen. So I expect some stuff to happen, and it's gonna be pretty bloody.
Now, where are we expecting that blood to end up, I suppose? Is this all bottom lane blood? You know, we know certainly the Syndra Lee Sin classic 2v2 in the mid lane, a lot of CC for gank setup. But where is Zed? Where is LeenK going to be looking specifically to try to get some of that blood? Is it also that mid jungle duo that we're looking, or are they trying to set up in that bottom side?
Yeah, I don't really expect, 2v2 kills to happen bot lane. Like maybe one lane is going to be very low under turret, and then you're going to see either the Syndra Lee Sin come and kill the K Morgana under turret, or you're going to see the LeBlanc and Zed roam down and get some kills. So bot lane, it's all about getting your lane opponents low, and then you really want to transition your mid pressure down to bottom to get some kills, or fight for the control around the bot river around mid. So I don't expect some solo kills to happen bot lane, but it's going to be pretty easy to see who is very vulnerable based on how bot lane's playing out.
Yeah, 100%. I think 2 things to really keep in mind when watching this game is definitely, okay, what is Srtty's path, right? That's kind of going to be indicative of what he's going to be playing for in the early parts of the game. But it's also going to be Caitlyn Morgana, how it is that they choose to play the lane level 1, right? If they're not leashing, are they going to be waiting in Tribush, trying to get some early damage on those Soraka Sivir, just trying to get some early advantages there? Are they going to try and take control of the 3rd bush in bot lane, kind of make it hard for them to have any control over that wave for Sivir Soraka? I definitely would suggest that Srtty does not have a leash from bot lane, so hopefully he'll just start his top side. But yeah, I think those 2 things are really, really important paying attention to.
All right, so sounds like for the first time really all evening, all eyes should be on the bottom side of the map and where the junglers choose to interact in the early game. We are going through client draft, but we will throw it to an early break. So get yourself something to drink, get yourself some food, strap yourself in, because we have got a very different game on our hands to wrap up our best of 3. Stick around here for the final game of the night on the Amateur Arena.
and welcome back to the third game of the night from the Amateur Arena presented by AoE. And while this is just, you know, a 3-block show match, it's certainly feeling like a best of 3 between the Dhokla Demons and the Srtty squad.
J Turbo, it's been a banger between this series, and it's looking to cap off with a bloodbath here. Lots of squishy champions until R5 came through, until Srtty locked in that Tahm Kench. Everyone was squishy, and even with that Tahm Kench, I'm expecting to see a lot of dueling, which might start here.
Might start right here as Dhokla getting a couple shells off and a couple tongue slaps out as oh no, Winston caught in an awkward spot, forced to already pop a potion, gets the flash over the wall and barely survives, but so much pressure already gained with that Leeson flash off the rift.
Asserting dominance, and he will be a little bit late to that start on the analyst desk. You know, we heard that, okay, DuoKing, Blueskies, they shouldn't be the ones leashing. They should be getting lane dominance here. And when you get to push out Winston like that, actually, I thought that we are going to have to see Sketchdreams and Winter helping out. No, they're going to be down here, and they will know Blueskies and DuoKing are in a bush. Yeah,
they know, but they're still stepping forward. Okay, with that Q, they should be able to just walk away, and the binding thrown in retaliation, as it should just be a neutral start to this lane, as I don't think any of us were expecting to see Soraka Sivir in this game 3.
I certainly wasn't, and I'm very curious to see how this works, because you heard it theorized on the analyst desk, a lot of pushing power from Soraka Sivir, but I feel like if a single binding lands here, they might be able to turn the tides, and Caitlyn's range is immense. But right off the bat, Blueskies and DuoKing getting chunked out so heavily here.
I mean, Sketchdreams is just landing every single boomerang, and if I'm not mistaken, Sivir used to be one of those traditional answers to, you know, Caitlyn Morgana, since you have the spell shield, you have the range to sort of go blow for blow.
Yep, and you have the ability to match the poke from that range of Caitlyn. You've got pushing power as well. So a bit of an old school matchup, but definitely one that could work. And you see it right there. The shield is nullifying that.
So much damage as Blueskies can't even farm. And oh my gosh. At just a few, only 4 CS, pretty much 4 HP at this point, as, I mean, they are certainly showing us the idea behind the Sivir Soraka lane.
More importantly, Blueskies is only level 1 because they were zoned out from some of the experience as well. Blueskies is going to be so late to lane. Winter making Soraka look more like a mage than an enchanter here.
Honestly, really is looking like that. An early poke mage that doesn't have to worry about CSing. I mean, what more could you want out of a champ this early on? Don't have to worry about CS. Just focus on hitting my skill shots. Oh man, that's why I'm a jungler. I don't want to CS.
No, that's why an AD carry needs to get a jungler like Winter right here. Then Sketchy doesn't have to worry about harassing, though a lot of the poke did come down. You can focus on CSing instead, and look at that CS differential. That's more than 2 waves here. LeenK actually came down to soak some of that experience, or else it would have all been lost, and that does take away some of that early farming prowess, fighting over Scuttle like that.
Oh, and Strompest going a little bit aggressive, but might be worse for wear as the Scatter the Weak works out, and now LeenK in a tough spot. First blood going over to Winston, as now Strompest is going to be on the bad side of this Syndra, as APA picking up another kill. Now Sketchdreams finally getting pushed out, and Blueskies getting a few CS under his belt. It looks like Winter going for a bit of a lane gank. Or river gank, I should say, before returning to the regular lane state.
Oh man, Winter being able to say a Soraka gank is already such an odd thing for me to hear, but yeah, sure, you get to say that when you win that fight. And Dhokla's Demons, you know, like that was such a good collapse coming through on the bot side. Now they've secured bot side, they can start focusing top side. Winston free to look up there, and LeenK wants nothing of that. He's under leveled as well, and the only lane that's kind of even is that top lane for Srtty.
Yeah, Srtty, the only one who's sort of keeping pace, as everyone else has just found one way or another to fall behind, is now Dhokla getting slapped to death, and here comes the Abyssal Voyage looking to try and find something, but Srtty's still so low, and it looks like Dhokla will just be able to walk on out of it with that W going wide.
And Dhokla, I want to emphasize on that pathing that he took there to dodge everything out, waiting till that Abyssal Voyage came back up before diving into his minions to stop the Tongue Lash, stop the slow from coming through. It looks like he just walked away, but so much more than that, Blueskies.
Oh, and Blueskies very low, no heal, does have flash, and that Black Shield should mean no Soraka kills are coming anytime soon, but this harass is just brutal.
Yeah, and that is the heal blown up from Blueskies here. You don't have that safety anymore. LeenK getting invaded on, but Strompest from behind.
Oh man, maybe as looks like there's a bit of a scuffle over the Raptors as I think they were taken by Winston, denying even more farm as Blueskies just can't play the game in this bot lane. Already 20 CS down.
Yeah, 20 CS and going to be a level down by the time you come back into lane once again here. You're missing the next wave because Sketchdreams has perma push right now in this bot side. I honestly didn't expect it to be this heavily in favor of Sivir Soraka. Sure, Sivir does great into Caitlyn, but I thought, with the Morgana, with the Black Shield, you can try and nullify some of that, but that isn't coming through. It's only going to get worse when Sketchdreams goes back, spends that extra, 22 CS here. This bot side right now, I think it's unsalvageable, and I want to see LeenK just go get Strompest hit, get Srtty in hit instead, and once you have another winning lane, then maybe both of you can start to revisit that bot lane.
Yeah, absolutely. This bot lane is really doing wonders for Dhokla's Demons, and on the other side, you just can't devote resources since everyone else is looking worse for wear as well. I'd say, LeenK, if you want to try and get something going, it's probably up against this Syndra, not having, an early stopwatch or anything, so that damage should still come through, but still only level 4 for LeenK, just trying to find some farm.
Interestingly enough, Strompest is actually a level up onto APA here, and I think it had to do with base timings, and because of that, Strompest is actually in a strong position. APA has to sit back and soak this wave first. Now just hit 6, and now that he's 6, now there's kill potential in this mid lane.
There certainly is Winston wanting to follow up and just flash forward kick. Don't need to direct that anywhere as it's just enough damage, and another kill going the way of the Demons.
Yeah, that small advantage gone. Now LeenK looking topside here. Still no ultimate, still no death mark. I don't think they have enough kill damage.
I don't know if they have enough damage, but maybe with the Tom Kench it'll be just enough as they're trying to stay alive, but LeenK can't find it. And now Srtty is going down. Gonna have some frog legs for dinner as another fight just goes so wrong for Srtty and his squad.
Okay, J-Turbo, when you've got squishy compositions like that, the problem is the snowball is strong. Whichever side starts getting a hit is often just going to keep on rolling here. So for the side of Team Srtty, for Srtty squad, you need to stem the bleeding. That is step one. You can't afford to lose CS if you have to. You can't afford to lose plates, but you need to basically sort of stabilize the situation, get back to that even farming state. And for the side of Dhokla's Demons here, they want to accelerate. You look at the champions they have, Graves, Syndra, Sivir, all such strong bursty champions, and you pair that with Winston. He flashed into Dragon Rage Strompest to just absolutely pop in here. He's going to want to keep doing that on cooldown here. Look to make these plays happen with all the setup his lanes are giving him.
Yeah, and one thing I actually really like is, Sketchdreams, it did go that lethal tempo, and that means we're not going to be seeing the lethality Sivir. We're seeing that traditional ADC, but it's still just utilizing those base damages so well early on to get the chunk, and will become an even more lethal team fighting threat the later this game goes on.
Yeah, and seeing that tells me that that Sketchdreams might not have expected to get such a strong lead in his lane either, right? He's looking for that crit build, that big team fighting damage carry, which we do often see in the late game, but it's starting to show up earlier now. Flash forward.
Oh, the flash forward into the chains is looking great for DuoKing. Double stun goes down, and Soraka finally able to get the wish off and trying to run away. That ambulance running by, but LeenK finally able to get the first kill, but it's getting answered back by Sketchdreams. Already 2 down. LeenK very low.
Did he get out?
Oh, I don't know if he makes it out as we're seeing this topside Dhokla just sort of skirmishing with Srtty, and now, it's like, let me see this bot lane as this pizza delivery is delivering death to LeenK as he's sent right back to the fountain.
Sketchdreams must be over the moon right now. He gets all the kills in that bot lane from that particular play there, and this is why I said for Srtty squad, get a lead in another lane first, bring friends, because in that 3v2, it did not end well. Winter will be more than happy to give up his life for that sort of advantage. And Winston, he doesn't even have to show up. That was all without jungle pressure. Jungle pressure was directed at objectives instead.
Yeah, and what's brutal was that it was off the back of LeenK's proactive play that the first kills go down on this bot side as Dhokla and Shubi still just going back and forth. Ultimate invested, but just to sort of give some of that pressure as, we talked about at the start of the series, it's all about the top lane, and Srtty is at the very least still showing why this Tahm Kench is a good counter pick into the Graves.
Ish. I mean, it's definitely working right now, but he is down in CS and Winter. Okay. Soraka, the ambulance is here. You're not there to gank. You're just there to nullify everything that Srtty just did. Dhokla back to full health again, and with that range advantage is going to be more than happy in that lane. And look at this bot side. You can do that because Sketchdreams is so far ahead. He can 1v2 comfortably. Look at him insta-clear the wave there.
I mean, level 8 compared to 2 level 6. Gale Force compared to Vamp Scepter boots. I mean, this is just so tough, and at the very least Blueskies is picking up a couple plates, but it's still really tough, I think, to come back into this game because Caitlyn's known for being that, you know, lane bully into mid game and then into a late game carry, and early game's not going well, which means the mid game's going to be even worse.
Yeah, what can Blueskies and DuoKing really look to achieve now when they're so far below? We are seeing LeenK come back down again to the bot lane with that death mark here, but we've seen this happen before.
Yeah, we've seen this happen as Dhokla should be able to walk it away, but ulti best by the Tahm Kench doing a lot of damage. Dhokla no flash. That's a beautifully timed wish as the ambulance doesn't need to be there to find the impact. And now action looking towards the bot side as Winston wants to try and make something happen, but Srtty squad down here, they realize something's up and that they can't fight.
I love how LeenK is just standing there chilling on the side as well. It's like, come in, I dare you. Ooh, Strompest?
Yeah, Strompest doing some fancy footwork, but that's the no fun button pulled out from the Syndra, trying to find something extras. I mean, that's what it is. It's the no fun button. It's the I look at you and you're gonna die.
I'm looking at Winston. I wasn't even looking at the no fun button there. Winston was threatening behind the turret, and Strompest just has to completely walk out. Dragon's Rage is available. You go in, he kick you, he pull up the Q, you dead.
Exactly, is trying to clear the wave, but that's going to be first tower, mid tower, heading over to Dhokla's Demon. Certainly looking really strong this game, but trying to strike back. LeenK not able to find the kill, actually, with that death mark, just enough with that return, and it looks like it'll just be a 1-for-1 now. Dhokla and 1v1 against Srtty. It's just fights all across the map as this bot lane Sketchdreams looking to pop off, doing as much as possible. Blueskies, that exhaust just ticked out, but there's just not enough damage. Although maybe with LeenK coming forward, he can pick up a shutdown, 650 right into the Zed's pocket, and he's gonna have to flash over the wall, but followed by Winston. These fights just don't stop, as he's going to try and make it work, and a lot of damage coming out from that early Gore Drinker, but not quite enough to clean up the kills, as it's a non-stop party here at the Amateur Arena. It's still non-stop. Strompa's going on to Dhokla, should be able to pick up that kill, and finally, they're starting to stabilize, or at the very least, they're making the game chaotic enough that Dhokla's team can't start to find objectives.
True. While all this chaos is happening, it is a bit harder to, go for these objectives there. But the chaos isn't stopping because these teams are not ultimate dependent. And you're seeing a lot of the damage come down from basic abilities and auto attacks mostly here. The only one who's really ultimate dependent is APA on the Syndra. And even then, the Qs are hurting. You pair him with Winston and they're able to put down sustained damage. So I expect to see this continue here. It's all about rotations. It's all about who's moving to where first. It's not lane states where this is happening a lot of times. It's like, okay, our junglers here. Okay, somebody made a play up there, and now they're vulnerable, they're overextended. We can look to punish that. And now we are seeing lane swaps come through, partially because of the lane assignments here.
Yeah, and they're seeing just full swaps as now Dhokla and Srtty are getting ran down in the mid lane, and this Toad is looking a little worse for wear. No flash, but still has that gray health available. And
auto damage?
Dancing with death right there, barely staying alive.
Collateral damage just came off cooldown. I was wondering if Dhokla just whip it out there, get the burst damage before maybe Srtty presses that thick skin, but wasn't to be. Srtty healing up a lot of it already is going to be fine, but that's an inner turret they're pressuring here. And what is Srtty's squad getting in exchange? A top outer turret? Not even.
Not even. They're putting some pressure topside, but I don't think they'll be able to find it. And now Dhokla's demons on this bot side certainly have been demonic. This game is Blueskies might just go down under tower. Although with the collapse from the rest of the team, it doesn't matter. You're going down either way, as there's the collateral damage finally coming down as Dhokla's demons are coming to party and snowballing forward.
Just diving in. That's the thing. When you lose your when you lose your mid lane turrets, pardon me there, especially the inner one, you've got to understand that your map is no longer safe. You've got this huge gap, this huge canyon in the mid lane, and no way.
And that's the 15 minutes. That's it. There's nothing else to say, quite honestly.
FF 15, I didn't think we'd actually get to see it on stream here, but you know what? Understandable. They did pick hyper snowbally compositions, and when you're down, 15-4 at the 15-minute marks with this particular composition, there really ain't no coming back.
Yeah, there really isn't much coming back, as I believe we'll go to the analyst desk one last time as DJ, or actually they haven't made their way up quite yet. We'll get to talk about it. I mean, it's 15 minutes. What is there to say?
They're not ready for it either.
It was just insane. No one's ready, as we'll finally get to go back to the analyst desk. Take it away one more time, DJ, Nova, and special guest, Mr. Capybara.
Thank you, Jay Turbo and RMC. We are back on the analyst desk. Unfortunately, ThinkCard had a commitment at 9 o'clock Central Time, so he has been replaced by the vastly superior analyst, Mr. Capybara. Mr. Capybara, welcome to the analyst desk alongside Nova to wrap up the night. Unfortunately, Mr. Capybara is not feeling too well, so he might be a little bit low on volume. Might not contribute that much. He's just having a rough day. So, Nova, let's focus on what happened in that very abbreviated game number 3. And let's start at the biggest point. I think we have to, the draft, particularly for Red side, the latter stage of the draft on the R4, R5 pick.
Yeah, it was already pretty strange that we went ahead and just blinded the Caitlyn Morgana. I mean, obviously that's just comfort for DuoKing and Eno. But I think the really important part to mention is how we said from the beginning, like, we're just going to be saving counter pick for Srtty, right? And like, I think that's just been a huge contest point of the entire series. It's just like, all right, who has the better top lane matchup and who's going to win through top lane? And I think that kind of went downhill as soon as we picked the Zed on 4, because like ThinkCard had mentioned before, we have to go something more tanky on 5 pick, right? And so we went with the Tom Kench, and then obviously like that kind of counter it feels bad, right? And so I think that's definitely where things started to go already pretty poor for Red side, and you kind of see it play out in terms of how the game went.
Right, and then it spiraled out of control fairly quickly, but I think there was one thing that we mentioned even before ThinkCard left when we were talking during the game, and that's about the level 1, right? Even with the draft going the way it did for Red side, there was an option, and things could have gone better for this Caitlyn Morgana that was picked so early.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crucial to try and get some prio in ball lane. Like, you have to be able to be in a really favorable state as Caitlyn Morgana into the Sivir Soraka. And so we had mentioned before that like they need to be able to try and get control of that third bush in ball lane. And that obviously just didn't happen. I think one way that a lot of teams, especially in amateur collegiate, are doing it right now is they just send 5 into ball lane, right? And they just try and force the Caitlyn Morgana into that bush, right? But that didn't end up happening, and it just felt really bad afterwards. Like, Caitlyn Morgana could just not do anything, and they just got countered significantly. So it felt really bad across the board in terms of drafts, most definitely.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate way for the series to wrap up tonight, but we mentioned a lot on the red side. You got to give credit over to the likes of Team Dhokla on this blue side. They had the counters in mind, and they executed on it in the early game. Really, really dominant showing for them. And that'll wrap up the series in 2-1 favor. So congrats to them on the night. They will be your overall block of 3 winners, but that will wrap up our series. So Nova, before we go, do you have any overall thoughts, on the games that we saw today, and any advice for the players going forward as we do get into some of these, bigger tryouts for teams? We've got scouting grounds coming up. What do you got on your mind for them?
Yeah, I mean, game 3 definitely felt really bad, but it's important to remember that game 1 and 2, like, it was anybody's game, and I think it was just due to keeping mental strong, and I think at like the end of the day, that's really what matters most, right? So I think just going into trials, just continue to play your best. I think a lot of focus is on NA talent right now, and especially the kind of development that we can achieve with the players that we have, and watching these in-houses, there's so much here, and it's still that's untapped, right? So yeah, it's really exciting to be participating, and I appreciate all that AOE is doing, most definitely.
Yeah, we very much appreciate you being here as well, Nova. It has been a pleasure for joining you on the analyst desk tonight. One more announcement. We unfortunately do not have an interview for you tonight. Players, of course, getting ready for those tryouts that we mentioned. So might have some more solo queue to do, might have some studying up to do, whatever the case may be. Unfortunately, no one available tonight. So we will wrap it up here on the analyst desk for our friend Sir Capybara, our previous friend, Mr. ThinkCard, and Nova. Thank you again for joining me on the analyst desk. To our casters, J Turbo and RMC, thank you for delivering another exceptional cast. And of course, to our producer, Benjamins, you make everything happen for us here on stream. Thank you to you all. Thank you to AOE for hosting the Amateur Arena. And thank you all out in Twitch chat for coming and joining us here tonight. We hope you have enjoyed the games. We hope you have enjoyed your time here. We hope to see you again. And we hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night.